All right, so maybe I'll just post them. I'll post them in chat, maybe. Can I do that? There we go. All right, these are from Arender. He says, how's my jiu-jitsu progression? And did I find a solution for the big boy problem? So if you guys don't know, I've been doing some jiu-jitsu. I keep injuring myself on one particular guy who's big. He's like 240 maybe, maybe 260. I'm not sure. He's a big guy, and I keep fucking dropping him on my side and hurting myself, essentially. How is it progressing? Still a white belt. I've been doing it for a year. I feel like I get worse every time, and I have not found a solution to big boys yet. It seems to basically be pull him into my guard, get screwed. Don't pull him into my guard, get screwed. Hurt myself some of the time. So there you go. All right. Now that I have a dog, what about the cat fund? The cat fund remains a fiction like it has always been and will never stop being a cat fiction. Pineapple on pizza, love it or hate it? I love it. Oh, it says love it or love it, so that's easy. What's the next game release I'm really, really hyped for? Is Baldur's Gate 3. Half guard with knee shield versus beginner works for big boys. Doesn't work for me though. Half guard with knee shield is I still get smashed by some of these, and the guy that I've been rolling with is a purple belt. So anyway, but yeah, we've attempted a couple things. Happy to talk about that more if you guys want. Unfollowed for pineapple. Well, you do what you need to do. No problems there. So the next big game release I'm super hyped for is Baldur's Gate 3. What's the first video game I remember ever playing? That's called Pharaoh's Tomb. It was a DOS game of some sort. Yeah, come on over. And did you start with a console player in my childhood teens? No, started with PC, never played console. My brother played console growing up, but I did not. Hey guys, this is Kevin. Kevin, this is the screens. If you screwed over, camera's here. I could rotate it just a little bit maybe.
Oh, okay.
Share a bit. All right. If you guys, you're kind of weird with the lighting. I could turn off the filter. It's just green back there. Let's do that for now. Turn the filter off. You guys probably remember Kevin. If you've been on the channel for a while, played some D&D with him. Going to play some Baldur's Gate 3 with him at some point. He is here to judge any and all questions asked in chat. And
Scowl.
yeah, scowl as much as you can if you would. All right. And OnlyFans when, as soon as it makes it monetarily viable, we'll start up the OnlyFans, and I'll let you guys know when that occurs. All right. What?
An OnlyFans for you? Wait, explain more.
I'm answering the questions that I'm being asked. He says OnlyFans when, so I answered.
Wow.
The rules of the AMA are they can ask me anything. I reserve the right to deflect, ignore, or answer at my kind of as I wish. And there we go. All right. Okay. All right, let's catch up. All right, so I'm going to do this full screen. Let's try to catch this up a little bit. All right, so half guard with knee shield, yeah. Filthy, if today's experienced streamer Filthy was to go back in time, what 3 pieces of advice would you give to new, younger streamer Filthy, assuming the advice isn't to do something else? Oh, I can't say not to do something else? Okay, so restricted advice to previous Filthy. Find an editor early. Cement that relationship any way you need to.
Better chairs.
Marry them, maybe. Better chairs. Maybe better chairs. But I think editor would be my advice, which would be to develop your YouTube simultaneously as much as you can, and try to do professional editing for that as soon as you possibly can. You can't afford it as a new streamer, so you'd have to find someone interested in growing the channel with you.
No.
What?
It's 3.
3 pieces of advice?
Yeah.
He gets 1.
Oh, sorry.
All right. If you ask more specific streaming advice, I'll give you more specific answers if you like, but I don't really like that hypothetical. It's not a particularly interesting hypothetical for me to engage with. A lot of it was hit or miss learning. So if I could skip all the learning process and have all the answers, there'd probably be some more advice about genre of game, about looking for certain viewership patterns, for behaving with games on release is a big deal, some other things like that, collabs if I could figure it out. But a lot of this is difficult to give advice that's actionable to new streamers, and a lot of it only kind of works. So I'm not sure there's a great answer for any of that really. If you have specific questions about like streaming for like you starting up as opposed to hypothetical Filthy, maybe can help you with that. How much does a 2-week vacation cost me in terms of viewer sub numbers and missing income? A 2-week vacation? I think I've only done 1 2-week vacation since I started streaming, and I think that was for my honeymoon. And how much does it cost me? I don't think I can give an exact dollar amount with that, but subs are about a month long, right? And most people do not resub when I'm not online. And almost all like temp subs and that kind of thing will expire in that amount of time. And what is missing income? Well, I missed 100% of the income that I don't stream with besides sub costs, right? So I miss any ad revenue. I guess YouTube's still ticking in the background. Any of the longer things like Patreon perhaps are fine in the background, but it's a lot, right? It probably one would be fine, but if I did like 2 or 3, like then all of those monthly things have had time to expire and not continue back, and it's a huge fucking problem. It's very difficult to take time away from streaming in a block like that. It's just not good for the channel at all. How do I mentally handle having a very real cost associated with any vacation / slack time? I try to travel during the stream breaks. I try to broadcast my travel ahead of time, not to do it too often, and I try not to travel on weekends as much as I possibly can. In reality, everyone else wants to travel on weekends. All my family can only do get-togethers on weekends, that kind of stuff. So what happens is I end up having to take time one way or the other, and I travel less than I would like to from a personal perspective and more than I would like to from a business perspective. So how it always ends up. How's the YouTube content push going? Medium, I'd say. I liked getting the new channel online, and I liked the distinction for that. I like the type of content that's going out on the new channel, but it doesn't have a lot of sub traction. So it's a bit scary with a new YouTube with such a low sub count, because the sub count in part drives the viewer count, because it's about who sees it. So if other stuff goes viral, maybe we'll see more of that. Otherwise, it's a slow work in progress. A dolphin or a polar bear for dinner, or to fight, or to run from?
As a streaming partner?
I don't want to stream with a polar bear. So I guess dolphin?
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah, dolphin is a good guy. All right, more serious question. Did you ever have to use your martial training to defend yourself in a street fight or a bar fight? No. And the more training I do in this, the more I realize that you'll have no fucking idea what you're walking into with that, right? Like you miss some cue and get sucker punched or something, you're still fucked. Half the guys you roll with, you have no idea how good they are until you actually see them in action. So predicting ahead of time is scary. If anything, it's made me perhaps more cautious of that. I have less of an expectation of doing well in a random fight, right? Like it's already so close all the time with people who are, in all sorts of range of my skill level. Better than me, I sometimes beat them. Worse than me, I sometimes lose to them, that kind of thing, right? So I think the RNG of that would be really scary. There's a wall behind me, not a void. That's true. Heavy lifting might expand my options on big boy issue. That's true. You've been grappling for 2 years, and the other men at the gym are much heavier than you. I never win, but they're good about letting me practice counters on the moves they use. Yeah, I would like to not be condescended to in that way, though, eventually, right? I would like to have options, even if I don't get them all of the time. I'm not expecting to be able to beat someone who weighs 60 pounds more than me and is as skilled or more skilled than I am regularly. That's fine, but I still would like to have something I can attempt to do. And there probably are ways, I just don't know them yet. Any early companion thoughts on the BG3 run? No, not yet. Anyways, red or blue pill? I'm not very excited about any of those. I tend to be my own thinker when it comes to this shit and remain the same there. Who's the guy who looks like a smarter, stronger filthy? Oh, you must be talking about me from a moment ago. Yeah, it's age. It wears us all down over time. But I was good, wasn't I? All right. Am I a tits person or an ass person? Seems like a dumb question. All right. What else? Does Kevin have any socials you should link in the command? Kevin, do you have any socials? No, he does not. Okay. Let's grab the next round of questions that were preemptively added. I'll throw them in chat for you guys. These are here. Should I put the only...
Wait, wasn't there a...
Did I miss one?
Which characters are you looking forward to?
I answered this.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep. Any travels planned? Yeah, I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'm renting a cabin with Kevin and his wife, and my wife are out there, and we're going to chill and do some hiking and chill out a little bit and just enjoy a couple days off. It's going to be great. Because of streaming, have I encountered a research topic that made me give my PhD even a passing thought? I occasionally miss the process of learning new things and answering questions. I never miss the process of publishing. I do not like that process whatsoever. Do I wish to go back for a PhD? Not really. I'm kind of glad I left as I did, I think. Would I go back? Maybe. But I'm not feeling that urge right now.
I miss the big brain conversation. The sitting and chewing on and brainstorming around what's that mean and what do you make of that and how are we going to test that.
And to me, the really interested people, the smart, interested people pursuing topics that are unknown is a fun world to be in.
Right. Yeah.
Like I do sometimes miss the every day is a revelation kind of thing. Every day I'm learning a bunch of stuff. That's a part of that. I miss that too. Any games right now they reserve for off-stream enjoyment / idle time? I stupidly reinstalled Magic the other day. My wife is very upset with me about that. I scream at the computer sometimes when I play that game. But mostly I'm not enjoying that too much. Sometimes I'll play games that there's like no more time for on stream. But I'm not thinking of any right now that really pop up for games that I'm playing offline.
He really loves survival and puzzle games when he's not with you folks.
I don't. I mean, I can turn the camera off and then strangle you, and then I'm probably fine legally. What are the odds of reviving something like the D&D campaigns? If I find the right group of people who want to play again, I had a lot of fun with the D&D campaigns. I would like to play a different system. I know the most recent Pathfinder came out, I think last year or something, and I've got some friends locally who are playing that. I'm hoping to do a couple games or a couple one-offs with them, and then perhaps we could talk about like that system. That system looks interesting. I like the Pathfinder system in general, and the new one seems kind of fun. So I would like to maybe do something with that. How likely is it? I have no idea what the odds of that actually happening are, although I would enjoy doing that. Yeah, okay. What beer am I drinking? This is a Pseudo Sue from Toppling Goliath Brewery. It's the only good beer they make, as far as I can tell, but I do like this beer, and it's an local Iowa beer. For BJ Jiu-Jitsu, do I have any plans to compete? I am dubious of competition. I like the idea of it for the purity of, oh, this is a good test of what's going on. I don't like the idea of a higher likelihood of getting injured from people pushing it past what they do in the gym kind of deal. I have no self-validation coming out of the competition elements of it, and the competition tends to be when I stream anyways. They tend to be weekends, so it's kind of a pain. It will be travel, missed work, and a higher risk of injury. The biggest complaint I have with jiu-jitsu right now is my injury rate at that. I like the sport enough that I find it very off-putting when I have to take time off because I've hurt myself or been hurt doing that. So a part of me isn't very interested in the competition for that element. A part of me would like it for the purity of it. So I think I'm not planning on doing it anytime soon, but my gym does do a fair amount of competition, so I think it'd be pretty easy to at least test the water if one is maybe real close and I can maybe take a day off as opposed to a whole weekend or some version of that. I would consider it. I'm a little interested, but I'm worried about the risks. Let's see. Do I have an all-time favorite video game? I think when I answer that question, I think I generally answer with EVE Online, but it's kind of tough to tell. Like it's a bit more relative to what you're going through and what you're playing and like in the moment kind of deal. So like, do I have a favorite game right now? Yeah, probably. I think I like Mechabellum of my favorite of the games I've been playing right now. Do I have a favorite like D&D game? Yeah, I think Celeste is probably my favorite of the D&D games right now. Do I have a favorite all-time game? It gets a little bit more foggy to say that. Like, what does that mean? I'm certainly not going to be playing EVE again anytime soon. I haven't played it in 10 years. Is some of it nostalgia? Probably. So I think I do, but I think it's kind of a tough one to answer very meaningfully. Like, it probably isn't very useful. The thing with D&D is it's not that fun to watch unless your GM is Matt Mercer. I think there's other room for that besides just that level of production. I think at least when I play D&D, I like the fun of fucking with your friends while you're playing. Kevin, you may remember some of that. And
super painful.
Yeah, but you get it back too, right? Dolphin and Jorbs were fucking with us when we were fucking with them, and it was a lot of fun. And I think there's some audience for that. But I agree, I don't think it's going to be a big audience capture thing. It's in part having fun with some friends. Am I in Iowa? I am. Toppling guys with a couple other decent beers. I went up to their brewery and was super disappointed with almost every other beer I tried there. So you might be right, Rimbo, I haven't found any yet. Isn't white belt the lowest? It is. Will I be uploading the stream and game title? To where, which stream, and why? I mean, all of my VODs are available. You can always watch previous VODs. I'm not planning... Oh, you mean this? You mean the Q&A? Yeah, I'll probably do the AMA. Will probably get uploaded to channel. Yep. Is there anything you can tell us about the consulting work you're doing? What the day work like, the work involved? Do you have any more lined up with the projects you worked on coming out? Sure, I can tell you a little bit. So some of this is under NDA, so I'm not going to talk specifics about that exactly, but various developers have reached out at various stages of production of their games, sometimes for kind of like getting my feedback on portions of their game systems, sometimes for a bit more conceptual stuff. There's been a variety of that. I do intend to do more of that. I really enjoyed that. I was just talking about one of the things I missed from graduate school was passionate people doing things with projects that they're interested in with smart, passionate people. There was a lot of that when I was doing the consulting work. So when I was working directly on a day-to-day basis with some of these devs on their projects, that was super, super fun. I also enjoyed seeing kind of, I do a lot of critiquing of games on channel already. This is part of what we do. This is why I maintain the website. This is why I put these review videos out. So some of the other consulting work has been essentially giving private critiques to devs of their games that they're doing so they can try to make that game better before it releases. I think that's pretty cool too. I wish all of these people success in their games. I certainly don't like shitting on games critically, but feel obligated to do that kind of out of, the attempt to be honest with you guys and also to express how I'm feeling about these games. So if I can help improve games for me being paid before they release, that seems like a win-win-win for me. So I've been enjoying that a lot. Let me update the stream title for AMA stuff. So all right. And I guess this is just chatting for this, huh? So let's fix that too. So I will attempt to do more of that. I got to figure out the method that I want devs to contact, how I want to kind of say, hey, I'm ready for some more of this, and exactly how much I want to do, and if there's enough demand for that and whatnot. But I've enjoyed the stuff I've done in the past for sure. Let's see. Oh, did I miss a thing here? What did you say here? It's okay, he's a streamer, not a reader. What are you talking about, though?
You were he asked about changing the game title, or the title that you just changed way up there, and you answered a different question related to that.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. What's more important in the Age of Wonders 4 style game, city management or combat, or 50-50? The city management is basically non-existent. The combat's super important. You basically get one big fight before the game ends, so the combat for sure. What would be my best advice to someone with a friend stuck in a very toxic relationship and suffering because of their inability to better their situation? It's really hard to give generic relationship advice like that. The obvious answer is toxic relationship, get out of it. But in reality, it's almost always harder to do than that, right? There's almost always a history of some degree. There's some buy-in for that. Perhaps there's a marriage, perhaps there's a kid, perhaps there's shared property, perhaps there's a pet. Who knows what that is? You kind of need more specific to be more specific about that. But obviously, the general trend of what you're going to try to do there is you're either going to try to remove these toxic or reduce these toxic portions of it, or start exiting, or figure out the compromise that works for that, because obviously you don't want to continue in what you just described, right? But again, generic vague advice for generic vague questions, all I can do for that, really. Now that I have an editor, what else do you want to help growing channel? The clearer of an idea that I get of what you guys want to see from my YouTube content, for example, the better I can create that. And the more stuff that I can do that stands out relative to other content creators, the more traction that's going to have. And the wider a net I can cast for getting eyeballs on it, the better that content is going to do for view numbers. So what can you guys do? Honest feedback is the best type of stuff I can get from that. Anytime I do surveys or polls or that kind of stuff, if you can respond to that, that would be helpful. If stuff stands out as something you really like or really dislike, that type of feedback is helpful. But there's not a lot you guys can do individually. Perhaps, if you have friends who are like, hey, I guess you can promote it a little bit, but I think that is word of mouth promotion is reasonable, but I don't think it's going to drive all of it. So it's really going to be the more quality I can get from my stuff, the better the quality of the stuff coming out in terms of all the things that make content decent, the more viewership it's going to have and the better that's going to do. So stuff you guys can do to help with that is, as I said, feedback. Your point was that D&D being fun to play is generally not fun to watch on stream. Sure. What's the greatest challenge you faced in your life and how did I overcome it? I don't really think in those terms, right? Again, this is a little bit like the favorite game answer. The challenges are relative to where you're at, what are your greatest challenges as a 4-year-old as opposed to that? And I suppose you're asking more broadly than that. Man, I don't know. There's certainly challenges with figuring out what you're going to do with your life, how you're going to tackle some of the problems, your income, your relationships, where you're going to be, these types of things. But I don't know if I can answer that in that broad of a thought. It's a weird question. If I ask you your greatest challenge in life, do you have a thing that pops to mind?
Figuring out maybe figuring out how to make a relationship successful.
Yeah.
With a series of mediocre relationships in my past, and then finally kind of figuring out what made it function for me, and that's an individual answer, right? It's not necessarily something I could sell online. Hey, I've got the big answer, but
and I'm not sure that's the hardest thing I've ever done. Like certainly that was time. It's time and effort and learning and lots of failures in the past to kind of make that better. But
it may be the most impactful on my overall happiness.
I'd agree with that.
Maybe not the worst challenge I've ever faced, but maybe the most impactful overall in my success and happiness in life.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Are you a genius? Absolutely. What's the best way to support you?
Do other people get to answer that for you?
No, this is my AMA. You just nod sagely over there. Perfect.
Yes.
What's the best way to support me these days? Twitch sub, Patreon, or donation? It's always Patreon. That is the most direct way to set up a support and forget kind of commitment to me. So that's the best way. It's not my relationship. It's a good friend of mine. He's being miserable because of his relationship. I find myself struggling with his suffering. Don't know what to do about it. I'll give you some advice here related to you as opposed to this question, which is it's very difficult to be external to a relationship and put your arm in it. It's a bit like sticking your arm in a wood chipper, right? Which is the best you're really going to be able to do with that, I think, unless the relationship is already such between you and your friend that he is seeking your advice and wanting your advice to this. The best you can really do is help support him through that, and not like just suffering through it, but getting him out if he's down, getting him out to go do something, breaking that kind of like cycle of depression and kind of inversion that people can go through with these types of things, right? So can you do anything? Can you tell him he should leave his girlfriend because she's no good for him? You can't do that. And what you're going to do is you're going to end up risking your relationship with your friend if you start offering advice like that. So I would suggest not trying to attempt that. It's his problem to solve, and his want of your help is going to be the limit to what you can do for helping for that. So tough spot.
Even beyond that, even if you are asked for help, you are more likely to cause a strain in your relationship.
Talk closer to the mic if you can. I can scoot over a little.
You're more likely to create a strain in your relationship with your friend than you are to solve the problem, even if they're asking you for help.
Yeah, exactly. Do you enjoy playing tabletop RPGs and role-playing? Yeah, I do. Which one of you has a stunt double in a porno? Why do I have to use a stunt double, Katie? What's your advice on the best way to meet What's my advice on the best way to meet high-quality women? I don't know what high-quality women mean to you here, but the best way to meet people is to find shared common interests that don't put the pressure on the relationship. So shared activities that you are both there enjoying independently of looking for people without the pressure of having to have a relationship one way or the other is the best way to meet people in general. And the best way to meet women is the same way the best way to meet people, which is you do these things, you get involved with these things, you meet people, those people have friends, those people invite you places, you invite people there, you make relationships, and you meet people through people through people. That's the best way to meet people.
Do things you're passionate about.
Yep. And not with the intent of don't go rock climbing because you want to meet women. Go rock climbing because you want to go rock climbing, and you understand that part of this is a social thing that you may get out of this. And then eventually what you'll do from that is you will build the groups to meet the people. So what superpower would I like to have? Which ones don't I have?
Right. I mean, you have to start with.
I don't need I need headphones right now.
And the problem with this is there's a lot of them that are ripe for unethical use. So you have to decide, like, am I an evil villain? Like, because then the superpowers are much easier to
Well, I've decided that I want those powers.
Okay, right. So,
I don't know.
So
mind control?
That makes it much easier. Right, mind control.
That seems to get you most of the other things you could want.
Right.
Want to fly? Mind control. Money? Mind control.
Right.
Done. All right. What superpower? All right, so isn't the dog the greatest challenge for the moment? Not eating the dog is my greatest challenge on some mornings for sure. Scheduling question. Do you know yet what days you'll be streaming around the BG3 release? I will be streaming release day, insert wit. So I think that's the 3rd, right? I think I leave town the 10th, and I think I'll be streaming the 3rd through the 10th, I believe. But I don't want to commit to anything past that. I'll definitely be streaming release day because it's a Thursday, and that's my normal stream days anyways, and I'm super excited about the game. Longtime fan, just got laid off. I find your resilience helpful and your insights on life enabling my own resilience. Thanks for your continued success. Cheers, man. I hope you get back on your feet soon and find something you like doing. And it's a bit of a cliche to say, but the experience of that will be useful to you at some point. Whether or not that's immediately, who knows? Hopefully sooner rather than later. You can't change other people's action, you can only change your own. True. Who is this guy? Kevin or me? I'm Filthy Robot. I stream here. This is my channel. Who are you? All right. Of all places outside the US you've visited, which was my favorite? It wasn't, my favorite was my honeymoon trip, which was to Singapore and Thailand, but I don't think it was because of Singapore and Thailand, although I enjoyed both those places. I think it was the honeymoon context. If I had to think just like pure location, I really enjoyed Hawaii when I was out there. But then again, I like a lot of the different trips I've been to. I like nature. I like awe experiences through nature. So I like hiking. I like mountains. I like forests. I like giant snowfields, this type of stuff. The awe stuff for me really does it. The nature awe stuff is really kind of what I like to travel for if I can. You can't hear Kevin very much. You can thank me later.
That's for the best.
Yeah. Thank me later. Some of the most solid dating advice you've heard. That's nice. He's definitely a villain. Correct. What's the most challenging thing for you to overcome about my own psyche or temperament? Am I short-tempered, prideful, or procrastinator? Everyone has plenty of flaws, and I'm no exception to that. What are the hardest things for me to overcome? I think there's definitely some things with being short-tempered. So finding the right mix of that in a relationship and the right partner for that was certainly challenging. Maybe in work, it's I don't like sunk cost doesn't do a lot for me. I don't like putting bad effort after good effort. But sometimes deciding when that is, I'm often very willing to walk away from something and be like, this is useless, I'm done with it, when it's too early to do that. So I guess sometimes putting more work into something that I think is doomed, but I'm not sure yet, it has hindered me in my professional development sometimes. I don't know if that answers well or not, but that's one of the things that's on my mind recently. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Who do I want to be when I grow up?
Me.
You?
No, maybe not.
I was going for someone with more life left in him. I don't know who I want to be when I grow up.
Oh.
I don't know, man. Who do you want to be when you grow up? I have no idea. All right. Do you have any opinions on the potential Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg fight? I actually think it is going to happen.
Wait, which one of the two?
Well,
no, there's two fights now. There is the.
What's the second fight?
There's the like MMA whatever, right? But there's also he's challenged him to a literal penis measurement contest.
Oh, I don't think that one will happen.
Okay.
I think the MMA fight. I didn't know it was MMA. I thought it was just jiu-jitsu. But
okay.
I think that might happen. I'd give it like a 60% maybe. Like I don't think it's a sure thing, but I think they have both said they're interested in doing it, and they both do the things to some degree, do the things they say they're going to do, right? Like, so I could see that, and I see some training from that. Like I've seen Lex train with Elon about that. So I think they're considering it. I think it's kind of a weird thing, two billionaires face off in one-on-one physical combat. Seems a bit weird. And I think it is only going to work if the intensity of that is playful rather than destructive. It's not going to be like a fight to the death kind of deal. So I don't know. I think it's weird. I think it's a bizarre thing to be doing, quite honestly. But, more power to him. Have fun with it. Is there anything in your life that you're really sad that you didn't do and can't do anymore? I think one of the not so fun parts of getting older is from time to time you realize that thing is probably outside of your reach, even if you wanted it now. So, I'm never going to be a professional athlete, but there's a million of these things, and they become more and more as you get further down one road, right? So I don't know. They're like small sadnesses maybe, but I don't dislike my life. I certainly didn't make every decision perfectly, and certainly won't continuing. Perhaps better than no.
No. Yeah.
I think that's just inevitable, right? As you commit to a path, you lose some of the options of that, and that can feel
the opportunity cost, right?
Yeah, and that can feel a little bad. Like, for example, I'm never gonna have children. Do I regret that? No, I don't think I regret that. But it is sometimes a bit in your head, a bit of a mind fuck to think, oh, I'm not gonna do that. That's not going to be my life. And a part of me is certainly vulnerable to the kind of creeping expectation that these things will happen sooner or later. And that's been kind of weird growing up with. I don't know how to describe this really well, but like, I just assumed that at some point I would know how to do these things, or that I would have reached these goalposts. And all life teaches me as I continue doing this is nothing happens that I don't do. Like, if I don't make it happen, it never fucking happens. So sometimes it's a bit weird to reflect on these, because these are often things you don't think about regularly. You don't think about the fact that you'll never do that thing again, because it's just not on you're just not tracking on that at all. And then someday you'll be like, oh, I'm never going to do that. So sometimes I'll watch like, this is a decent example of this. I like Sailing La Vagabond. My wife watches a lot of travel vloggers and travel YouTubers. And this is one of the ones that I like that she watches. And I will never live on a boat and have these experiences that they're having. And they have all these cool experiences and do all these cool things. And it's super cool to watch and it's really interesting, but I'll never do that. And I will never be that age doing that ever in my life. And that's a little sad maybe, but yeah, anyway. All right. If you wrap your arm around his shoulder, he would be closer to the mic and you'd be good friends. Katie, I can link you some pornography later if you'd like, but this is my stream. It's different. All right. Hey, Kevin, with friends like Filthy Robot, how does it feel to not need enemies? That's to you.
With friends, that's an excellent point. We've been listing the things that, his faults and all of those things, and really his ability to keep me on my toes means that I don't need enemies. It's like in the same way that raising urinals keeps you on your toes.
It's like a pit trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although there's also the kind, compassionate, loving Filthy that I've never met, but I'm sure exists for some people.
I was gonna say, do you have video proof of this? All right. What qualities of my wife are most helpful to my streaming career?
Oh, just in general, her tolerance.
I was gonna say her acceptance. That was the first thing that came to mind there. Is my wife encouraged me to quit my PhD program to go pursue streaming full time. Encourages me to spend time on the computer doing gaming if it's useful to my channel. Encourages me to commit time and effort into this. Encourages me to pursue this profession even in the sometimes what I can only describe as the in the face of sanity. Her calm acceptance of trying to support something that I wanted to do in my life or wanted to try in my life has been the most helpful of that. How does she assist or support my job? My wife is her own woman with her own job, her own profession. She has a PhD. She's a super smart girl. And I try very hard to keep that separate. How does she assist me? She makes my life easier in a million different ways. She is a great companion, a good person to bounce these ideas off of, someone I talk to and theory craft with, for about lack of a better word, who, all the things that aren't streaming are better with her in it, kind of deal, which makes the support of the job easier. Why no children? I don't want children. I've never wanted children. I made that decision years and years and years ago and stuck with it. Really sad man, kids are great. I don't begrudge you your kids, but I also don't want them myself. And yes, there will be some loss there for the types of interactions that are positive out of it, but I don't want them. You have a short temper also. Cost me a couple relationships, even though I don't stay mad long. Those high bursts of anger really put people off. Yep. Have you found any ways to help? What qualities does your wife have that make her able to deal with your temper? I haven't found something that helped. And for me, I call it same team. And this helps me internally a lot to be able to kind of internally just recite this in my head. Same team. This person cares about you. This person cares about the outcomes of your life. This person is invested in the outcomes of your life. And that seems to help temper my irritation with especially small things. So, all right.
Yo, Dolphin.
Is Dolphin in here? Dolphin resub. Hey, Dolphin. It is Kevin. Yeah. All right. I feel like the two of you have one of the healthiest relationships you've encountered in a long time. Judging by what we can see on stream and hear you talk about your wife, happy to see.
Oh, I thought they meant you and me.
I did too to begin with. But
that really scared me.
Be careful with that, Arkama, just only in the sense that this is to some degree like social media, right? You see what I show you as opposed to all of the time there. We have our fair share of problems like anybody else. Hopefully we put enough work and effort into it that those are not fatal problems, and these are problems that we have worked around and continue to work around. So I hope to agree, but I just want you to be careful assuming that someone else who presents well is actually doing well. All right. Your wife came in and asked if Kevin is my dad. Would I like to comment on this? Is he my dad? What else are you hiding from us? I hide many, many things from you all. Kevin is only my father spiritually, and no, I don't know what to tell you. Kevin's a good friend of mine. Has been a good friend of mine for years and years, and yeah. Anyways,
Jeez,
okay.
Do I look like a fucking dad? That's such bad news.
This is Twitch just fucking with you. Don't let
Okay.
Twitch get to your
Damn,
head.
I'm gonna cry. Don't make me cry.
Okay. All right. I got more not filler questions, but questions that were preemptively asked. So I'm trying to keep the live questions to be my focus. But let's get some more in here. All right. What made you consider streaming? How did you become aware of it as a profession? I got talked into it by other multiplayer opponents in Civilization 5 who told me they wanted me to stream because they wanted to see what I was doing. And then as people explained to me what streaming was, I started looking for streamers and saw people like Kriparian streaming and saw thousands of viewers and realized he was making quite a good living for himself and realized this could be a profession. That's how I encountered it. Did playing so many strategy games over the years influence your method of thinking about stuff? It certainly has. I think it's bi-directional, right? I think a way strategy games appeal to me because I think this way. I play a bunch of strategy games and engage with this as a profession that reinforces my thinking in this way. So I think it's bi-directional. How's my YouTube stuff coming along? So-so. Is it too early to draw conclusions? Probably, but that doesn't mean it's too early for me to want to give up. What kind of strategy game would you like to see more of? Complicated, in-depth strategy games that are well-balanced, multiplayer, and have endless replayability. Do you have a setting, gameplay combination you'd like to see or some mechanic you'd like or would like to see implemented somewhere? Yeah, what I just described. Competitive, balanced multiplayer with extreme depth and complexity. What is my history? Oh, there's more to that question. Let me get the rest of that. I'm like, what is my history? Long. Boring? I don't know. All right, hold on. The gray hair is a dad thing. My hair's going gray too. Paternity test. Do I still play Battle Brothers? I don't. How did I meet Frigg? At rock climbing? I met her at my graduate school. So I met her in doing my master's program. What do you think I'd be doing if I weren't a streamer? I would have finished my PhD and I would be somewhere in academia and probably pretty unhappy. Do I know any good jokes? No. Do I like Warhammer games? I do. All right. What's my history with gaming? A lot of it. What games am I nostalgic about? EVE Online. All right. So the next round here. What is my favorite food or food place? I like strong flavors. I like bitter flavors. I like spicy. I like things I haven't tried and things that are different. I'm a bit of a foodie. My wife's a bit of a foodie. Those are fun. But if I'm just like, what's my takeout choice for the week? Probably Thai. Thai is just a hard food to beat. It's just fucking delicious. There's so many good foods out there. I just like variety and different, I think.
It is clear that we are not related because that is absolutely never the answer I would give. I want the simplest, most boring food I can possibly find. On a regular basis, I'll eat the same food 8 times in a row. Just which makes like meals sometimes tricky for us because you want something new and exciting, and I want the same old like bland, annoying thing.
You guys have food as fuel on your fridge for some reason.
Yeah.
Food is social. Food is exploration. Food is a date. Food is an adventure. Food is something new and something different. Food is fuel is like saying sex is procreation. It's like the most boring way to look at that in the world for me. So. All right, what kind of endeavor would you like to do in your life? What kind of endeavor would you like to do in your life or with your stream that has too much of a risk associated with it for you to try out? I don't know. I think non-gaming content is interesting to me, but I have no idea how to do that. I have no idea how to do that at all. I like long-form conversation. I watch Destiny streams. I watch Sam Harris's and Jordan Peterson's and Lex Friedman's and Joe Rogan's, and I love all this shit. I love listening to experts talk to other people who want to have a conversation and think about things out loud. I really enjoy that. I'd love to do that in some way, but I don't really know how to do that, or I don't have a strong sense of how I would do that as a platform or as a monetization strategy, or just the time and effort to put that together. I think that stuff is super interesting. Can I please pet the dog for me? No. You said before that you don't like puzzle games, but you did enjoy Slipways. Can I take from that your main problem with puzzle games is the binary state of the game? Either you've solved it one correct way or you've not solved it. I thought Slipways was exactly what you would want in a PC board game, which was all of the cleanup, construction, and wasted time that you have in a board game done by the PC, but still really cool, fun mechanics. So it was a game that I wouldn't enjoy on pen and paper, with the undos and all the pieces, the stuff to move around. But playing on the PC was like the best of both worlds. It was a fun board game, and often a single player board game with like self challenges of meeting these objectives each time that you could share with a friend by having the same seed kind of deal, but done well on a PC. Why do you like EVE Online so much? I found it the best PvP experience I've ever had in a game. Any chance of TwitchCon Europe next year? There's always a chance. We were scheduled for Amsterdam a couple years ago before COVID canceled it. And if the stars align, something like that again is possible. Sure. What question do you wish someone would ask me? That question, you nailed it. Are you worried about the increased competitiveness in streaming? Things have to be a lot different now than when I began streaming Civ 5. I think streaming is not a profession I would recommend to anybody, in large part because of the inability to guarantee that hard work or effort or anything really pays off. So is it increasingly competitive? I guess it is. I'm worried about things like aging out or losing relevancy or whatever else. I don't know if it's any different than it was. I know more about it. It might have been just as competitive then as it was now.
So you actually have a bigger problem than you know. My mom at 80 has decided she's going to start streaming.
Okay.
She's decided that she wants to stream Satisfactory to start with.
Huh.
So, the competition is ramping up. Grandmas are getting
I was gonna say I knew it was going like younger than me. It was because I didn't think about
grandmas are gonna get in there and just wreck you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in a much better place than most of the people I'm competing with, which is I already have an established community. I think growth is hard, and finding new people to show up for, and it's like audience capture, right? Why would any new person who doesn't know my stuff want to watch my stuff to begin with? Hopefully some of it is the YouTube stuff, some of it is the quality of the stuff that I do in the gaming that they might be interested in, but it's hard. I don't know what the discoverability stuff is. Twitch does a terrible job of promoting me as a streamer, and a terrible job of supporting me as a streamer. There's almost no individual relationship with streamers and Twitch, for example. So, am I aware of the new Owlcat game, Warhammer Rogue Trader? I'm aware of it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm at some point going to play it, but I don't know how good it is right now. Got to go lose the Mech Bellum tournament. Have fun. Let's see. Speaking of history, do I have a favorite period or piece in history? I'm a future-looking guy when it comes to the interesting parts of what I think the interesting parts of history are. So I've never had the thought or dream that I would love to have lived in an earlier time. Every time I think about that, I'm like, man, I wish I'd been born a little bit later. so I don't. I guess if I look at some of the interesting times, exploration is interesting to me. Widespread changes are interesting to me. I could have seen some of that period. Some of the periods where that is happening is interesting. But we live at the most advanced time that humanity has ever been at, right? So we have the most interesting things happening to us now. So I wouldn't trade that for going backwards, at least for me. Do I watch other streamers for fun and or see an idea or concept you think you'd like to implement? I do watch other streamers, sometimes for fun, sometimes because I want to get better at a game, sometimes because I've watched them for years and I like their stuff, sometimes for personality, sometimes to kill the time. I watch lots of other streams. Do I see ideas or concepts that would be good to implement? It's a harder question. I mean, certainly sometimes I see something, I'm like, wow, that was really well done, or that's a cool piece of content they're doing, or that's an interesting discussion and wouldn't mind doing something like that, sure. Let's see. Live stream with Filthy, sign me up. Who's the guest? This is Kevin. Kevin is a longtime friend of mine, visiting for a couple of days. Don't get to see him very often. He wanted to be, I said I was doing the AMA and invited him to be a part of it, and he said he'd just come sit and look judgmental. So I think you're doing a good job. So let's see. Is any one of the people he listed an expert except for Jordan Peterson in psychology? Yes. Are you kidding me? And even better than any of them, I mean, I would argue that a lot of the people I mentioned in that segment are expert podcasters. And what do they do on their podcast? They go talk to experts. And that's extremely interesting to me. I just finished my master's degree, but I've been working in parallel for about 1 year now, a 9-to-5 job. The thought of a PhD crossed my mind, but publications of papers and other 3 years of my life sounded too much. I'm way too burned out already. Doing the school and working in parallel got me to the constant thought that now I have to do this for the rest of my life. Have you ever ran into the thought at some point in your life? Yes. Please refrain from using the phrase, do what you like. It's hard to say that. It's hard not to say that now that you said not to say that. In the sense that you are trying to seek the things that are interesting to you. But the compromise with that is the reality of what's your situation. You have to make enough money to survive. You are going to have obligations and costs, and most of the things you're going to want to do are going to be an increase in obligations and costs rather than a decrease. I wouldn't recommend a PhD for anyone who's not passionate about that process, because it is a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of things you have to sacrifice. It's shitty pay. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of learning, and it's a lot of work. And I wouldn't recommend that for someone who wasn't passionate about that, unless there was a degree that you were passionate about, that needed that, and that was a stepping stone to get there.
And for sure, return on investment is really dubious for a PhD, because the whole time you're in school, you're not necessarily making the money you would be. And then the money you've invested in the program and the money you didn't earn, it's a pricey. You are likely to be 10 years out before you even start to return on investment past PhD, would be my guess. Just seat of the pants guess.
But I would put this out, which is, this is something I respect about your life, is your willingness to upend your kind of day-to-day and upend the pattern you've been in to go seek something that was interesting to you. And again, I think this comes down to, for me, nothing happens in your life that you do not make happen. And I really do believe this, in the sense of, if you keep your head down and don't aim for something and don't work towards something, you will basically maintain where you're at. And maybe that is a trajectory. Maybe it's a work has some promotions that you get over time, or for doing things okay or whatever else, but you will mostly be there. So you can predict down the road what that will be. Sometimes these big things that shake up your options, for example, if he's in a profession and he's kind of at a dead end for what he can do for his job and is more interested in something else, and a PhD allows him to do that, that may shake up his life in ways that are interesting or useful to him.
That's true, but just finished a master's means that you could potentially reap the benefits of
Sure.
that master's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, agree. It's either retain or retrain. It says retain, let me see if it fits. How to retain players in turn-based PvP combat games. Games like Dota, I think, retain players because you always improve skill-wise, but in turn-based games, you eventually know everything gets boring. I feel like regular game changes are mandatory to make sure players... Yeah, I think seasons are a big deal for this. I think good balance is a big deal for this. I think additional content is a big deal for this, and I think complexity is a big deal for this. If you can solve the game on release or immediately after release, and there's one solution, I think is asking for that game to be very finite. Flipper says, calling Peterson an expert is making my band finger twitch. I disagree. I think regardless of his social takes, which I think are getting worse and worse, his psychology takes are pretty damn on target, and he is very much an expert in the field of psychology.
How about Huberman?
I like his stuff too. He's a fucking interesting guy.
Man, he's good.
Yeah. He's so in depth that sometimes I'm like, I'll look at that and I'm like, that's a 4-hour podcast. I don't know if I want 4 hours of this.
Right.
Like his alcohol deconstruction podcast was like, alcohol is the worst shit in the world for you. It was really interesting to watch that. And after I watched that, I'm like, I learned a lot of things. I don't know if I wanted to know all these things. So, anyways, to be streaming seems like something that has to start as a hobby and then turn into a job if it works out. Yeah, well, I think the hobby approach is going to leave you screwed, Masterwork. So you may have to treat it as a hobby for income, but treat it as a job for seriousness all along, or I don't think it works out in the end. Since you're a foodie, what's your and perhaps your wife's favorite comfort food? Favorite comfort food? My wife's go-to, doesn't want to cook, wants something to eat, comfort food is pasta and tuna and pasta. So like pasta noodles with some tuna mixed up with a little bit of mayo, and I add hot sauce to it. How's that? It's I can't say that's a foodie food. There we are. All right. If you make TikToks, you'll capture a whole new audience. Possibly true. You like the idea of us both wearing black tank tops for this. Can I bring you one? Katie? If you don't know Katie Creations chat, you should mark her as a suspicious user. Moderators pay attention. She's not to be trusted.
That's my wife. Go easy.
Not to be trusted.
She's nice.
All right. Nominate a sub. All right. Let's go take care of that real quick. Where is Katie?
I think she just got one.
Oh, did they gift her one?
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, never mind then. Let's close that real quick. Okay, let me catch up with chat. Do I still have time to read books? Yeah, I'm less good about it than I have been in a while, but I am still reading. Yep. Let's see. Ursus gifted Katie a sub. That's funny. Okay. Kevin. Honorary resident moderator, social speed determined. Okay. Notice there seems to be pretty defined division between variety streamers and streamers that play one or two games continuing, that you're definitely on the variety side. Would you say this is an intentional choice, so you haven't found a game you're interested in committing to long term? I talk about this with my editor pretty regularly. She thinks I'm not a variety streamer, and I kind of agree. I do variety to find good games. That's why I do variety. If I could find one game that grabbed me and it was the most interesting fucking game and I wanted to play it forever and ever and ever, I would play that forever and ever forever. In reality, what it means is I'm a bit of, my wife calls it serial monogamy for dating. And I guess for streaming, it's like I'm a serial monogamist for games, right? I find a game I'm interested in, I play it till I'm no longer interested in it, and then I move on. Variety helps me find those games. Streaming and Twitch chat has expanded the types of games that I'm willing to play and willing to give a chance. I'm not sure I've found all that many amazing games that way. I guess I probably have, honestly, thinking about it. I've found probably lots of amazing games that way. But I, of course, would love to find the best game and play it a million hours, for sure. How's the AMA going? Well, I think. Someone who got their PhD a couple years ago was a huge amount of work. My PhD program was 6 years and very little pay. Yep. Now it's on to try and find a grind for a tenure track job. Yep. Which is its own adventure, but my hours are great. Even my temporary professorship, I get all the holidays off, family, I get summers off. Definitely perks. Yes, for sure. Beer or whiskey? Both. Someone wants you to come back. Who? I'll ban them. My wife and I have 3 master's degrees between us, and this thing we both agree on, no either of us wants to go over a PhD. There you go. Can I recommend a book that you think would improve the average person's understanding of the world around them?
Holy crap, I could give you 8. Maybe 8.
Well, I guess take a shot at that then. I'm trying to think which one I would recommend for that. I like a more indirect approach to understanding people, which to me has often been in the hypothetical of of books that approach extremes, for example. But if I looked at more of like a nonfiction kind of approach to that, I really liked Jocko Willings's Extreme Leadership. I thought was pretty fucking interesting. But any of the books looking at to some degree personal responsibility, to some degree leadership, those ones are fairly interesting to me. But I don't think I have a good answer for that one. So if you have ones you'd like to share, shoot them out.
I would say that Stolen Focus is a book about our growing inability to pay attention, and that's an excellent read or audiobook. There's also what the hell? I just drew a blank as I was going to say it.
I'm gonna go get a new beer.
And I can just run this myself.
Chat, be careful with any advice you get in the near future here. Is extremely dubious.
Can I click any buttons?
Don't click any buttons.
No?
If he touches anything, chat, you slap his hand, okay?
How about I go get you a beer? No. This is ridiculous.
No. Take a second, gather your thoughts, and suggest some books.
Yeah?
I like a lot of the stuff you've suggested.
I need Katie. His name is Larry Wingett, and he publishes a whole bunch, or he's written a whole bunch of books that are about personal responsibility and the way you make terrible choices and the impact of your terrible choices on your life. And so he calls himself the world's first irritational speaker, and he does an excellent job in a relatively funny way telling you how terrible your choices are and the impact on your life. And
Katie says you're trying to think of stop whining and something.
that's it. Stop whining and get a life. And you're broke because you want to be. And your kids are your own damn fault. Things like that.
These titles resonate.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read any of these, but oops, I don't need those. Habit.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there's a handful that I could recommend. I don't know.
Okay. You think Celeste looks interesting? Recommended best ways to start. Well, it's on sale. I would buy it. I don't like the base campaigns that come with the game Telios. So I would go directly to community campaigns, and I would look for, it's on the workshop of Steam. I would look for any of the highly rated community campaigns, and I would start there. Filthy One said I should be an upgraded mod. At least I won that. Ursus, you're fucking fantastic, buddy. Just tuned in. Is this Filthy Robot's brother? That's a nicer guess, isn't it?
That's better than Dad.
Zam, this is my buddy Kevin. We're not related, but we've been friends for a very long time, and he's up visiting right now, which is fantastic. All right. What do we have? Have I read Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time? Oh, you're referencing someone else? I have not, though. Okay. All right. Let me add. All right. So I'll give you guys time to add more questions. I got more from the Discord, so let's add those in, starting here. All right.
Shut up, stop whining, get a life. Thanks, Katie.
How much behind the scenes work is there for streaming? A lot. There's a lot of behind the streams work for streaming. I suppose you could just go live and that's fine. When in days where I have like a game that I want to play for like extended times, those are great because I don't have to think about anything else. But there's a lot of content selection. There is the consideration of what types of content you're going to make in addition. I guess if you're only a streamer and you have a huge stream and you never make any YouTube or worry about it, maybe there's no problem there. But for me, it's a lot about figuring out what type of content I'm going to create, how long to stay with the game, what games I'm going to do next, the types of things I can do in those games to keep them interesting for me and the rest of you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's just a lot of work behind the scenes. What type of correspondences do I have as a streamer? I get a lot of cold call kind of emails about promoting games. I get some more targeted emails about promoting games. I get random viewer kind of correspondence. I get a lot of middleman companies correspondence, things like, well, we want to sell you this service or come join this. I get a lot of team correspondence, like come join this this team or this management agency or this type of whatever else. It's a lot of stuff that is not clear initially whether it is a bunch of garbage and a waste of my time or something worth investing in, basically. So anyway, yeah. Let's see what else. Answers to my YouTube videos, sometimes hate mail, sometimes like, occasionally I'll get something like someone will say something like, oh, this thing was useful to me or et cetera, that kind of stuff.
I love you and I want to have your baby. Any of that?
I've never had that.
Wow.
But I've been very clear I don't want children. So maybe they're disrespecting my boundaries.
I love you and I want to show you my naked body.
Haven't had that one either. All right. What kinds of people are you, which kinds of people are you working with in your profession? The people kind? I don't know what that question's asking. For you, how much?
The ones made of meat.
Yes, right. For you, how much is streaming is a hobby versus a job? It's a job 100%. Is it a hobby? Gaming is a hobby. Streaming is not a hobby. Defining hobby as something you do even without monetary compensation in your free time away from a job. 10% maybe. I could see enjoying streaming if I was just given as much money as I could ever want for any possible reason. Would I stream some? Yeah, I'd stream some. Would I stream as much? No, I wouldn't. And would I stream as many games as I did? No, I stream only the ones I was at all interested in. How much of an impact are streaming schedules on my life? High impact. In what ways is it actually better or worse than a regular 9 to 5? Better that I set my own hours. Worse that it's much harder to take breaks. I don't have vacation time. I don't have paid time off. If something goes wrong and I need to not stream for some reason, then that's on me to eat all of those costs. There is no protection for that. There is no investment in my future. I will not be able to retire from streaming. There's no 401k that gets matched by Twitch or some version of this. All of this is basically make my own income, figure out ways that I can live on that, figure out ways I can invest that, figure out ways I can eventually retire on that, because none of that's going to be protected through the job. And the job is super, the other scary part of that is the job is, if tomorrow no one tuned into my stream ever again, my income would go to zero almost immediately. So there's no protection from the like exiting of the job either. Are there games you like that might not be good streaming games? Yes. Hate mail? Occasionally. Would you ever join a streamer organization? I've been in streamer organizations in the past. I would join one if they were beneficial to me to join. They don't seem very beneficial these days very often, but I'm not a big streamer. So if I were a very large streamer, maybe they would be more beneficial. You love me and want to have my baby.
Non-baby.
Oh, thanks. Why is Eve so good? Never played. It's a very fun PvP game. My email must be going to junk. What products do you use to keep my skin so smooth and creamy? The blood of my guests, Katie. Let's see. I have a question. Why did you bring your dad to show and tell? Do you want to check if he's proud? Are you proud?
No. Yes.
Fuck. I tried. What kind of people you mean, like mods, other streamers, companies? But your previous answer got that right. Okay. There's some junk dude that came in one stream and said he wanted to get your wife or girlfriend pregnant. Oh.
What?
I don't remember that. Okay. Did I ever get my bicycle back? I did not ever get my bicycle back. All right. What was the last? Okay, let's add the next one. This is 9 to 5. Okay. Do you have a favorite? So the next one, the last one from that line was this one. Would I ever play Civ again? I'll never say never. And Civ 7 is something that's interesting to me, perhaps. But Civ 5 is not something very interesting to me anymore. Do you have a favorite video game soundtrack? No. Do you listen to them outside of games as well? I don't. What happened to my bike? I've had my bike stolen twice since I've been streaming. Once I got it back and once I didn't. All right, a couple more questions from Discord, and then it's entirely on Twitch chat.
Relatively proud, doing the best you could with your limitations. I like that. That's a great option.
Any chance you want to put some videos on YouTube about a game I only play 30 to 60 minutes about? No, I tried them. They had very bad traction. I didn't like speaking about games from such a low amount of playtime with them. Just give your criticism about them and maybe what you'll like to see improved. I don't think that's enough time to do something like that particularly, but more importantly, the viewership just wasn't there. And the other one of these, will you go back to play some of your favorite older games you love? No. I hope to in the future build some games into the streaming kind of rotation that are games that have updates regularly. So maybe every 3 months, like a game with seasons like Diablo, or maybe just going back to games like I do already for DLCs or expansions, that kind of thing. But I tend to personally finish with games and move on. And I don't feel there's not a lot of appeal for me for going back to play, especially single player games that haven't changed, just to play them again 10 years later or 5 years later. To me, I tend to finish a game and move on. Can I be bought? Like if I contribute enough money, would you stream a game I like? I can be bought. The price point hopefully will be painful. Yes, exactly. That's called a sponsor stream. Am I still enjoying Mechabellum? I really like Mechabellum a lot, but I don't think I can play more Mechabellum without getting better at it. The game has evolved to a point right now where the best players are pretty damn good right now, and I need to put in more hours to reduce that gap and stay competitive with the kind of front wave of that. And I can either do that basically exclusively right now, and it's a pretty damn good game and I really like it, but I don't think it's exactly the perfect fit for me, and I don't think it's a forever game for me. So I kind of need to make the decision of a time investment. And with Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm really excited about right around the corner, I feel like transitioning the channel a little bit right now into some other turn-based D&D based games makes a lot of sense, but I do really like Mechabellum. I think, again, I gave it the highest rating I've given a game on my channel yet, and I think it's an excellent game. Why did you say you wish your dad had supported you more? Glad to see you made up. I'm getting bored with your questions, just heads up. I like the YouTube Battle Brothers videos. Great. I'm so bad at the game, but I like to learn. Cool. Dota streams when? Dota was not a fun game for me. I liked playing with my brother, who I was playing Dota with, which was fun. But that game is playing with 5 random people, or 4 other random people, 3 of whom seem not very interested in winning, and none of whom are interested in getting along, that is not my favorite experience, I gotta say. Have I ever said no to any sponsorship offers? I sure have. What were they? It depends. The further the content is from my content, and the more exploitive it is, the higher the sponsorship rate needs to be for me to consider it, right? So sometimes I'll get offers to promote games or to play games that are so bad that I just cannot do it for that price point. I just look at that and go, this is not worth it. Let's see. Okay. All right, chat. I am caught up with the questions from my Discord. I'll double check to see if any were posted from this morning, but I think we're actually caught up there. So this is now all on you guys. I've got time for probably another hour of this if we wanted to go that far. We can end stream here one way or the other if we want, but we are now caught up entirely with offline stuff.
There's some of those you gave yes and no answers to that you could have expanded on.
Okay.
I was making a point, not just stating a truth.
Yeah, but I feel like you're missing the point by making that point.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
All right. Any reason why I wear a hoodie and shorts? Yeah, because I stream in the basement, and it's a really hot day out right now, and my house does not have zoning on the furnace, which means my wife has turned on the AC, and upstairs it is a very nice temperature to live in inside. Down here it's freezing fucking cold. So I have socks and a sweater on because I am streaming from the basement, and I have shorts on because it's summer, and I feel like an asshole when I come out of the basement and I'm wearing like a sweater and pants and like socks, and then I go outside to like wheel my trash cans in or something and wave to the neighbor, and they're like, bit warm out here for that, isn't it? So it's a bit of that going on. I had one thing I wanted from this house when I moved in, and it was not to work in the basement. What state am I from? I live in Iowa right now. 30-second exclamation about what's good about Eve Combat.
Oh, you're not going to do this. You're like, this is a 5-minute thing. Can you do that in 30 seconds?
It's on my YouTube video. You can check it out on my YouTube if you want to check it out. I have successfully done a 10v1 in Eve online versus 10 other players playing to kill me who thought they were ganking me. And I killed them, and I killed 10 of them. And I took their loot, and I made money off of that loot in terms of in-game. I think at some point I even sold that loot and bought time in that game because it's a subscription-based game. And the world in which I can be a pirate as a fucking game, where I literally am ransoming some bastard who I have probed out his mission in my submarine in all reality, like triangulated his missions, probed him out, ransomed him. I know he's stalling because his enemy, his allies are coming to protect him, and I am timing it down to the moment to get the maximum chance of getting more money than his ship is worth from me blowing it up, but less money than it will cost him to replace it out of him as a ransom. Was some of the greatest gaming I've ever done in my life, and I wish I could repeat that in every game I play in. What do you see career life looking like 10 years from now? Sad. Question both for Filthy and older brother. That's Katie. Should she sleep outside tonight?
I was going to say, I should go upstairs and have a chat with that young lady.
What's my, what state am I from? I live in Iowa. I grew up in the Northeast, Maine and New York mostly. I was born in Maine. What's my specialization in psychology? I am a social psychologist. I have a master's in psychology, and my specialty in that was human relationships. So dating, sexuality, this type of stuff. Was getting my master's worth it? For streaming? No. Just finished my undergrad, and I don't think I'll have it in me to do another couple years of study. I think psychology as a undergraduate degree is not very valuable without going on for something else. So I, for example, worked for a couple years after undergraduate in psychology with the psychology degree and did not find it to open doors for professions or jobs that I was very interested in long term.
Depends on which psychology, right? Some of them will lead you to like social work, or some at master's level you could get some interesting stuff, probably.
Well, master's is past undergrad.
Right.
Right. This is so my response to this, because he's asking was getting my master's,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
master's worth it?
Right.
And I was saying that I didn't find the bachelor's degree very valuable.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh shit, what was I flying? I was flying a Cyclone in that particular fight. What kind of things make you think that this was a good stream when the stream is over? Man, there's a lot of things that do that. I like, the obvious ones, right? Like when the stream is doing well, viewer count, for example. But the ones I enjoy more are the events that go well, right? Like I love our gin and tournament Saturdays are super fun for me. I like the AMA streams. I like it when we found some really cool game and we're like diving into it and starting to explore it. I love hearing from my viewers, hey, that video you made about this was super useful to me, or I discovered these games on your channel and I bought them and I'm having a blast with them. That type of stuff is super rewarding to me. What's my psychological explanation for us humans not doing enough to fight the climate crisis? We are a very short-sighted species. We don't think in terms of like longevity like that. And yeah, anyway. If you have a ceiling board, you could put in egg trays that might help make my basement feel less cold. What does that mean? Like just like pin them up into my ceiling? I don't know what that means. What are my pre or after stream routine if I have any?
Usually it's like a big hug. Right, we just go off camera and we have a big no.
Oh, we're sharing that. I tend to finish. So Discord is one of the biggest tools in my trade, right? So a lot of the people contacting me for various things contact me through Discord. So my post stream is deal with my Discord, figure out any things I need to get done, and then go to jiu-jitsu. Generally, generally my post stream. Pre-stream is a bit more. It's, make sure all the scenes are working. So like for tryout days, I'll spend a little bit of time before that, making sure all the games have been loaded in, the settings have been changed so it's not annoying. But it's a lot of maintenance stuff immediately before and after, but probably not long, like half hour, maybe either side or stuff. The bulk of my prep is done on the days I have off, and that is planning content, finding content, storyboarding, kind of like the videos I'm going to record, or recording them and uploading them into work with the editor, that kind of stuff. So beyond the extra filthy days goals, what's something you wish you could do for SubDrive as extra content that maybe chat doesn't bite on as much? I tried a lot of things when over the years of streaming, and what I have found is the only thing that chat wants as a whole is they want me to stream longer on the session that I'm streaming and more of the game I'm currently playing. And any other goal, drive, or objective has been less endorsed than that. Anytime I ask via survey or via chat those types of questions, that is the only thing that chat as a whole agrees on. I think maybe if we had some, like maybe a TwitchCon thing might be like, if I did like a subathon for like a TwitchCon goal or something, maybe that would work too, or something like that. But in general, what chat wants is more stream now of the thing that they're watching, which makes total sense, right? The spreadsheets to stream when you reset the Kraken fight over and over again was my most favorite memorable moments on Twitch. Cool. Is the pool table still supporting the entire house? Yes, the house still exists as a support to the pool table for sure. You wish your male friends lived close enough to get a hug at the end of the workday? Yeah. Do people refer to you as filthy when they contact you for business, or they use my name? Mostly they reach out to the channel, so mostly they refer to me as Filthy Robot. Sometimes that changes. I don't mind being called by my first name when I'm working with people, for example, but I do like the distinction of an online persona. Thanks for the resub, GTN. Since we're diving into the psychology degree, can you explain my master's thesis? What the fuck was my thesis? I gotta think back what it was. I don't really want to go down that way. I could explain the study, but I think I've explained it before on stream. It's whatever it was. I did sexual arousal and disgust relationship. So basically the findings were, I experimentally tested the idea that as sexual arousal increases, disgust decreases, and that specifically sexual disgust decreases. So that disgust has a couple different domains, some of which is like pathogen disgust, some of which is like sexual disgust, etc. Right? So as you get aroused, stuff gets less disgusting to you, and you can experimentally manipulate and show that, which I did. All right. You remove the ceiling board and put it on. Oh, interesting. Okay. They banned shots for subs. They did ban shots for subs. We had some very drunk streams at one point on stream. Filthy passing out on stream. I think I did pass out once on stream. Ever thought about making a video game and learning programming with it? I'm not actually very interested in becoming a game dev. I like supporting projects for that, but I also like not having to go through the entire development process and publishing process of that for gaming. I like being a game consumer, and I like helping with that process, but I'm not particularly interested in generating it myself. Filthy isn't my real first name? No. You were disgusted by my sexual arousal? I don't think I'm sharing sexual arousal on this platform.
Saving that for your only friend?
That's right.
Only fans?
Uh-huh. Let's see. Have you seen the food disgust test? I've seen a lot of disgust scales. I don't know if I recognize that particular one. How has the consulting foray gone so far? It's gone really well. I think there were good results. I have mostly positive feedback. I have positive feedback from the consulting. I enjoyed the process. I hope I made games better. I've enjoyed it a lot. Do you think the gaming industry is progressing or regressing? I think it's a bit like social media and the attention economy stuff, right? I think some of the games are getting better psychologically at manipulating you in bad ways. But I also think technology and innovation and just the kind of development of gaming is also producing better and better games. So I think it's a bit hand in hand. Some of those games are clearly designed to just milk you for every possible cent they can get out of you and to try to psychologically manipulate you into putting as much time into them as you can. And those are pretty ugly.
How do you think AI is going to influence game development?
Well, I think it's going to streamline it quite a bit because I think some of the testing and balancing can be done through AIs iterating on that. I think it's going to shrink the size of teams. A lot of the art asset stuff is already being done through AI generation. A lot of the stuff you can do almost instantly with that. So hopefully it will shrink the teams as well. I'm a bit worried. I mean, the thing about AI is a super powerful tool, right? So what is it going to be doing? It's going to be making all these things better, but it's going to be making the gacha style games better too. So the games that are designed to get you to reach into your wallet and pay these bucks are going to get better at doing that to you as well.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a double-edged sword. What did I last use ChatGPT for? My editor occasionally generates titles with it. I played around. I did some day where I was just wanting to see what the chatbots were like. So I installed. I subscribed to a bunch of those. Or not subscribed, but like signed up for their free trial kind of deal and chatted with them for a bit. I mostly just asked them questions about like predictive questions about my channel kind of stuff. So I didn't find it actually all that useful yet. Have you spent much energy comparing your approach to streaming to Jorbs or other streamers I'm friendly with who may have higher viewership, and did that bear any fruit? I think you inevitably compare yourself all the time. I certainly do. It has not borne much fruit for me, no. I'm more interested in how AI is going to change the end result of the games we actually, yeah, sure. How do you measure the stuff in your thesis? Do you have to watch guys get erect just asking questions to people and hoping they're honest? It's self-report. So they did self-report. It's an experiment, right? So they sign up, they get consent, they get explained what they're going to do. They do it we had them do it in the privacy of their own home. So if they fucking beat off or masturbate or go have sex with a partner or something, they can do that without being in a lab or public setting. And then they report back on their experience kind of deal. So I did not have to watch anyone do anything. And better than that, not only for me not having to watch it, but also for that not impacting the results we were getting from that. So that was self-report data. Are there foundational studies on disgust that you know off the top of my head or could share in the Discord? I'm teaching a course on physicality in the ancient world next year and trying to find things on disgust.
The TTDS, I think, is one of the main disgust scales, and I'm sort of annoyed by it, but I think it's the primary one.
That's the 3-domain disgust scale, right?
Three-domain disgust scale, I think is right.
Yeah, TTDS.
Three-domain
do you remember the author?
DDS.
Is that Hayden? I can't remember.
No, I don't remember.
It's been too long since I did that. What I can do, Professor Pandemonia, is if you DM me on Discord, I can do the most lazy approach ever, which is exactly what I wish to do, which is I can link you my academic stuff, and you can go dig the citations out of my citations that I did for that, which is a couple years out of date at this point, but there's discussed stuff in there, and that'll at least give you a starting point for looking if you're interested. I don't have access to the academic search engines anymore, as no longer being a university participant of any way, right? I'm not at a university anymore, so I don't have access to any of that anymore. But there is a pretty established field of disgust research out there already, for sure. What's my take on PPL? What is that? When they don't want to take blame for not raising their kids with compassion and good values, blame video games for shootings. I don't know what PPL means. Define that for me. Maybe I can answer. So you work for one of the biggest tech companies in the world, and they're making a huge push for AI. And let me tell you, some of the stuff is really helpful, but I'm kind of on the front lines of that. And I'm not actually going, and it's like not actually going to be helpful. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool, Zam, even if it's not useful yet. And I think it is useful for lots of things so far already. I think it's going to get better and more useful, especially as they figure it out, and they're just figuring it out. Since you usually well play logic-based games, did you ever try hard a game in order to consider yourself one of the best? I always try hard all the games I play. It's part of why I like gaming, is because I engage with them kind of. I feel like if I'm playing a game and I don't care of the outcome, I must be playing it for a different reason. And sometimes that's true. You go do some social game and the point is the social interaction, not the game. But a lot of the times what I like about the games are the depth and systems of those games, and I find those fun to explore and master. So I almost always try hard games. If you subscribe to my channel, do you see fewer ads on my channel? You do. Subscribers see no ads. If you wouldn't have to factor in stream appeal, what game would I be playing? I don't know, man. I get bored of games, and I use the stream as exploration for games, both for you guys and for me. So I would probably play the games I was interested in longer when they aren't big streaming games, but I don't know. For example, some games like Eve multiplayer was impossible to stream. I've tried it. It's just impossible to stream. You lose the ability to do the things in games by streaming them. So I don't know. You always wondered how they did those studies? Yep. I think it's definitely going to be productivity multiplier, but not additive all. I can take a dev who's an 8 and make them a 10, but it's not going to take a dev who's a 1 and make them a 3. Yeah, I have heard the idea that lots of people are going to lose jobs from this, and the people who are good at working with AI are going to be massively more productive than they've ever been in the past because of that. I kind of agree with that. Any amount of luck in turn-based games bad, or is some fine, maybe like 10% and 90% knowledge? I think some luck can be fun for. I like lots of small luck in a game and not big meaningful luck. So in other words, I don't want the outcome to be I win or lose the game based on this dice roll, but I like lots of small things leading up to the outcome of whether or not I win or lose the game to be based on dice rolls. So lots of small dice rolls, the variance averages out. You as a player can take advantage of the curveballs being thrown. The experience is different because the RNG is different this round. That makes for an interesting game for sure. Is Kevin also a master's PhD in psychology? So I met Kevin actually presenting. Well, rather, my wife was presenting at a conference, and Kevin was at that conference. And then Kevin actually, I'd left the school at that point, although my wife was still there getting her PhD. Kevin joined the program that I graduated from, and got. How many years were you there? 3.
3. I have a master's in. I ended up with my master's not counting toward my psych PhD. And so I was regressed back to a bachelor's to restart my PhD. And by the time I was there 3 years, I said, I'm not going to finish this PhD, and I bailed. I almost got my second master's and was a class or two short of, and I just didn't care enough to finish it.
And that was what, about 5 years ago?
That was about 5 years ago.
And your previous master's, when did you get that?
Oh, holy crap. 25 years ago or something.
Right.
So I'm retired with a 20-some year career. And
do you want to say what your career is in? They're asking. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share.
I was a clinical psychologist.
Yeah. Jonathan Hay does 6 moral aspects, and disgust is one of them. Yep. All right. A lot of people do not understand how AI. Okay. I'm going to stop with those ones real quick. Any broad tips for getting better at strategy games? broad tips for getting better. Pay attention in a hypothesis test, right? So when learning a new game, try to listen, like when I'm learning like Kevin loves board games, brings lots of board games to my attention that I wouldn't have found otherwise. Whenever they teach me games, inevitably when I see them, they're bringing new games to teach me new games. I try to pay attention to how they teach, what they're saying about it, and then I try to hypothesis test in that game. Okay, these things they've said, they seem to imply this. When I actually try to do this, what are the actual results of that? Update your strategy, retest kind of deal, right? So it's just a lot of feedback cycles. The more time you can sink into it, the more iterations of the game you get with the more things that you're actively trying to understand, the better you're going to get at them.
And a super funny experience was we came here and taught you terraforming Mars, I think, and you lost the first game to Katie, and we're like, set it up again. And then you lost the second game to Katie, and you were like, set it up again. And you were I think 4 games in until you had finally like iterated it out until you've crushed us, I think, every game since. But those first 4 were glorious for me. I lost them all. I mean, I lost to both of you, but
yeah. I maybe that's another point of it, is don't be afraid of losing, right? Like losing is how you learn, right? So better to have tried and experimented something and gotten crushed doing it than just to kind of passively have made the moves and just accepted whatever outcomes that comes out of it, right? So how do I find out if I have Prime sub to give you? Prime subs are a tricky thing for sure. Does Twitch Prime subbing to Filthy Robot truly not cost me any extra money? Correct. If you have Twitch Prime, you are given 1 free sub per month to anyone you wish to do. It's just like a normal sub. It costs you nothing if you have a Prime sub, if you have a Prime subscription, and treat streamers just like any other sub. All right, let's see. If you could wipe my mind and experience a game again for the first time, what game would be my pick? Damn, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, man, there's so many different ones. A part of me would like to recreate my experience with Eve, but I'm not sure I would get there. I think I was lucky to get where I got with that. Another part of me would enjoy some of the social games maybe. I really like Dominion, and if I could go back to like freshly picking up Dominion and being kind of excited about seeing all the cards again and trying all the mechanics and seeing all the combinations of that might be a fun one to do.
there's a few amazing puzzle games that I would love to forget enough to do them again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There are certainly games that don't afford multiple playthroughs, but I'm kind of blanking on which ones they are. Some of those could be fun again, too.
Yeah.
For those inclined to make donations during a stream, do you prefer to have larger donations once or twice a year or smaller donations more frequently? Those are equal to me. So I always have a little bit of trouble with large donations of trying to convey thankfulness, right? Someone subs, I say thank you. Someone donates $5, I say thank you. Someone donates $20, I say thank you, right? But there's not a great way for me as a streamer to express like, wow, that's a lot of money you just donated kind of deal. So I don't know. I think from some level I feel better about multiple call outs for somebody who has donated smaller amounts over time. It brings that person's name more into my consciousness to have that spread out over time. You know, like the quietest type of way to support my stream is something like Patreon, which doesn't have a subscription renewal. It just monthly ticks over. I don't talk about it on stream, but I have people who have been supporting me for that for years, and they get very little thanks from that. So I guess from my perspective, they're equal in impact. I feel it feels harder to express gratitude for larger donations. You know, onboarded a project, a coding task in 3 different languages, never worked on, wrote all the code extremely easily using ChatGPT, worked about 90% of the way, but had no background in coding. I've never been able to fix it by 10%. Yep. What's my take on people when you don't want to take blame or not raising... What's your take on people when they don't want to take blame for not raising their kids with compassion and good values, blame video games for shootings? Like in general or like a specific person? People are a product of their individual upbringing. People are a product of their societal upbringing. Society as a whole is composed of people. People suck. I mean, I say this a lot in different things, right? Like, I don't like people as a whole. Don't think anonymity.
Don't think of them as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's that, right? Like, I mean,
you mean as a group?
Yeah.
You don't mean as a whole.
No, I'm not saying I like them in pieces. I'm saying, Yeah, as a group. I mean, it's like any other community, right? There's bad parts and good parts of that, right? So I don't, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at with that. Do I think people should be, people regularly downplay their own negative impact on things, regularly upplay the impact of luck, variance, other people's impacts. Rarely do people want to take responsibility. Most people aren't doing things great, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But everyone's struggling in the same way, right? You're trying to do your best most of the time. Some people are better at than others. Some people have more opportunities than others.
So,
It's a mix of that.
but the question is, how do you feel about video games taking a rap for bad parenting?
I think overconsumption of video games in kids of a certain age is probably somewhat related to bad parenting. If a parent says games will be your upbringing and this will be your only thing that we're going to have you doing and we're going to allow you to spend 20 hours a day on that and the rest of it, I don't think that necessarily leads to violence, but I also don't think it necessarily leads to a very well balanced or healthy kid. So I feel like it's probably
They're correlated.
It's probably any other like thing done to extreme without moderation, without balance is going to be pretty negative. So I don't know if it strikes me any more than that. I guess I think this is related to some media event that just happened recently where like gaming was blamed for stuff. Gaming has its pros and its cons. It does have a pretty serious number of cons. Hours in front of screen time isn't particularly good. Lack of social stuff isn't particularly good. Just physical well-being of sitting in front of a computer for a long period of time isn't particularly good. But there's upsides to that too. Like gaming as a community, gaming as a social thing, gaming as an engaging activity for this. So it's all about balance, right? Like I think you can spend a lot of time on games. I do spend a lot of time on games and be a perfectly healthy, well-balanced individual. Do I think gaming as a whole should be blamed for shit? Sometimes, but not often, I guess. It's harder. I kind of need like the specifics of that to engage with that. It's a harder one to take as like an abstract.
Well, and part of the answer I think is related to, is it strategy games? Is it what variant?
Really,
of game?
You think it matters? I don't think it matters.
I think potentially it matters.
I don't know. I think the short-term gratification kind of stuff is not generally very good for you for long-term goal setting and long-term progress.
Absolutely.
But I'm not sure that Fortnite is much worse than, for example, than Civ 5 for that. Like it might be slightly longer term goals, but it's the same kind of short-term reinforcement cycle that gaming provides. So is one type of gaming particularly worse than another? I very much doubt it.
Really, I would think that some foster creativity and problem solving, and others foster rage quitting and being pissed off at the world.
I suspect that. I don't think that you're. I would disagree with that. I think I would,
okay.
And that would be a nice empirical thing to test. Would be like, all right, what are the outcomes associated with various genres? But I think the buy-in is going to be such, or rather, that would be interesting to hear. Period. But I suspect that the engagement cycles that they would tap psychologically that get you kind of invested in the game stuff is happening at all games, including the longer-term games.
You bet.
So I don't know. Hey Kevin, what are some of your favorite modern board games? You have a uniquely qualified individual for this, Hannibal. I would, if you asked me in the world, who would I most suggest you ask about board games? It would be Kevin and his wife Katie. So, please.
I think Terraforming Mars is probably one of the top three right now. There's a fascinating one that I haven't seen much talk about, but it's Between Two Cities is a fascinating game where as a cooperative with the person to your left and right, you are building cities, and yet at the end there is still a winner. So you are cooperatively building in order to make the best city, and you win based on your worst of your best cities. That didn't make much sense, but super fun game.
That sounded good.
And a third one, Terra Mystica, is an extraordinarily complex route to win game, and similar to Terraforming Mars. That one is on Katie's I'm not willing to play it list, or I would prefer not to play it if I can avoid it at all costs list. But it is similarly like multi-path, deep strategy kind of game. At least to the extent I've played it, I liked it a lot. That's three.
Yeah. Those are good ones.
And there's a lot like Dominion and a lot of the deck builders. I really like a good deck builder. Ascension, Dominion, Mystic Veil, are all really good deck builders.
I got introduced to a game by a friend the other day. I haven't played enough to get a sense of it. I only played for maybe like an hour or two. Called Scythe. Have you heard of that one yet?
I own it, and I've played it just a little, and it's top of Board Game Geeks forever. It's been a really highly rated game.
I'm going to play more with him, but I don't know quite enough about it yet. All right. Do you think that the way you go about gaming genres you enjoy, being very critical about them and only really enjoying a very small portion of them, is detrimental to your streaming career? Yes. If you could be a magic spell, change yourself to be able to enjoy bad games or games that majority enjoys or other genres, would I do it? I would do it on a professional level and not do it on a personal level. I don't know if I get that option, but yes, John, I am aware that I limit my own channel to some degree by my own restrictions. And those restrictions are in part based on my personality. I don't think that is something I can work around, though. I don't fake. I'm called what's a low self-monitor, and I'm bad at faking. So I have a hard time projecting an emotion that I don't feel for extended periods of time. So I don't do characters or personalities that aren't mine very well. And there's upsides to that and downsides to that. And the downside of that is I struggle a lot to fake enjoyment in a game that I don't want to do for extended periods of time. And for me, I actually find it very depressing. Like when I am playing games past the point where I enjoy them, I do a lot of questioning of my life decisions. It feels like, I feel like streaming as a thing is great when I'm enjoying it and not so great otherwise, because I'm not sure of all the things I could be doing in my life. Playing a video game that I don't actually want to play, that I'm not enjoying for just other people's enjoyment, seems pretty damn low on the types of things I want to be doing with my life. So it's really, I struggle a lot to, that doesn't work for me. So yes, would it be a better channel if I just enjoyed all the games and was like happy about everything? Absolutely. So you're banned from playing Scrabble with your wife's family because you can't turn off your competitive gamer side and just end up with 250 points to their 100. We have games banned in my family too. Yeah, I don't know.
Although I have to say that despite you being so competitive here, we can, as a friend group, sit and play any game, and you will joyfully engage at a social level and not look to decimate us. You will play hard, and you will enjoy losing, and you will enjoy winning, and you will laugh through the whole thing, and you are not the crazy, evil, like competitive bastard that I would have expected. Sorry.
I think some people are very sensitive about losing. So when I read this comment, I think of I had an experience. I was playing over at a friend's house, and we were playing some silly game. I think it was like what's the one the cats explode? It's like
Exploding Kittens?
Yeah, I think it was Exploding Kittens, right? And we were playing, and there's a discard mechanic in that game where you can make opponents discard, and there's some like save card that you can have in your hand. So what tends to happen is as people's hand size reduces, they're holding on to a save card. And I was playing with a group. It was they weren't particularly close friends, and they were like friends of friends kind of deal. And one of those individuals was trans. And I was playing in this group, and I forced that person to discard. I saved like a bunch of discard spells, and their hand size was like 4, and I had like 3 discard spells. And I basically hit them 3 times in a row with that. I was trying to get rid of their protective card, and they threw their cards in my face, called me a transphobe, and stormed out. And the part of this that triggered me was, I'm playing the game by the rules with the mechanics of the game. It's not about the individual there. I'm not attempting to stomp this person into the ground. I'm trying to play the mechanics of the game to win the game. I'm doing the thing that makes the most sense from the position I'm in to advance the goals I'm supposed to have as a player of this game. Right. You know, it's like, and I hear a bit of this in Zam's question, or his it's not a question here, it's a statement, right? Which is, some people are really adverse to losing. And I feel like the people who are most adverse to losing are the people who either are the most fragile ego or the people who don't play very many games.
But the other half of that is, a competitive gamer can just crush folks because they're not able to socially engage and say, I'm going to win, but I'm not going to be like aggressive about winning. And
you say that, and I'm glad that I come off that way, but I don't really know what that means. Like, as you understand the mechanics more, am I playing suboptimally? No. So it's not that it's that most of these games, you can both enjoy them and play well. And they aren't exclusive to do that. I don't know of the way that I'm a dick gamer that makes me asocial and like ruining the experience while simultaneously not also, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that looks like, that I'm so aggressively pursuing the game goals in a way that doesn't allow to enjoy that. They seem independent to me. It's like, it feels like role playing and like mechanics in a D&D, for example, right? You can have both those things. They're independent. They move independently of each other. And I always feel that way. Like, it's totally possible to have fun in a game you're losing. I do this every time I go to jiu-jitsu. I am losing rolls. I roll with a brown belt and he fucking destroys me. And I can laugh and compliment him on this, wish him good luck when I start. This is part of being a sportsman in the game you're doing. It's part of engaging with the social element of that while simultaneously engaging with the rules of the game. He is crushing me. I am losing. I am getting brutally destroyed. He's being the elite gamer there. But I'm on the receiving end of that. I don't have to take that as a personal affront. That's right. That's him playing the game as it's meant to be played.
Yeah.
There's nothing offensive about that. So I don't know.
Okay. I think we're in agreement.
Yeah, I think so too. But I don't know. I don't have a good representation of the other side that feels like a steel man. I see that other side as a very weak side for that. People who are so fragile that losing a game is personal to them, or who are upset that the mechanics of the game have been used on them, seem...
And you keep talking about the loser being fragile, and I keep thinking that I've played with folks that lose the capacity to be pleasant during a game, and instead are after hurting you as bad as they can. They're after capitalizing, and that's optimum gameplay, I guess. But there's an ugliness to it that is not about me being a poor loser. It's about them being a shit winner, kind of.
Yeah, and there can be games like I'm thinking of Civ right now when I talk about this, where players will team up on you and feeling like in a game where you feel like you're on even footing with other people to start with, and multiple players team up on you often feels pretty bad. I don't know exactly what the answer to that is.
Yeah.
What do you think of this comment right here, the one I have highlighted?
I think she's hilarious.
Okay. All right, let's see what's next.
There's a story behind that, but I'm not sure if it's stream appropriate.
It's probably not then. I may have asked this question earlier, but to Kevin, what would you ask as a question to Mr. Robot?
I would ask, why are you wearing those shorts given what happened last time?
Look, we all move on with our lives. Not all of us dwell in the past. I feel like these shorts it's not anything to do with them. They're just shorts. They're fabric. It doesn't matter. That's why. All right. Okay. My dad always said to me, I want to read this comment. I just read the start of it and I got interested. All right. My dad always said to me, if you ever meet a girl with a terrible tattoo, try to marry her. She makes bad decisions, but sticks with it. It's a good line. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. The recent Paris riots were blamed on video games. What a fucking unnuanced take. You know, what a disconnected take. Do I think video games have problems? Sure. Do I think you can pin some things on them? Yes. Do I think you can you explain a nationwide revolt on video games? I think you're pushing it a bit. Okay. All right. What do I think of Wingspan? Don't know it. Oh, it's probably another board game.
It's a board game, yeah.
Yeah, we're just behind on chat. I'm way scrolled up. All right, let me catch up the chat real quick. Am I going to play Civ again? Nope. All right. Filthy smiling and enjoying something cheerfully gregarious is an obvious line. Cannot happen. True. All right. Along the transphobic logic, have you ran into the person who was like, you haven't addressed me correctly as he or she? Yeah, pronouns are a weird one. I think the current labeling of things is too far, but do I really begrudge people for wanting to be called what they want to be called? Not really, but do I think it can be abused? I absolutely do. If some prick some asshole who's being a dick to me says, call me God, do I really have to engage with that kind of stuff? Even though I don't believe in God, it's not a thing that's important to me. The idea, it's like, call me sir. You know, like if I say my pronoun is sir and daddy, and I just say that to you to be a dick, do you really have to engage with that?
But those
and most people
pronouns.
aren't.
Those aren't pronouns.
Well,
I've encountered folks that did that.
But if anything is acceptable to be demanded of you, like where's your protection from the people wishing to abuse that? So I don't know. I find the general thing I found is most people are not trying to be dicks, and most people this is fine with. And there's some small subset of people where this is probably isn't fine with, and I reserve the right to be as much of a dick to them as I want. So, I tend to try to engage with people on the energy they engage with me on, which is if they come at me friendly and ask me of something, I'm probably willing to grant it, because especially when it's as minor as that. Like, what does it cost me to do that? Very little, until they abuse it. And then maybe the boundary shifts the other way. So I don't know. I think the current environment of wokeness is past what I'm comfortable with, and I think is probably detrimental, but I'm not sure that pronouns are the problem for that. I think it's other things, really. So I don't know. Have you ever thought about or even employed psychological knowledge related to the parasocial relationship aspect of streaming in order to increase viewer engagement and viewer count? Some big streamers use text-to-speech and ignore chat, for example. No, I have a hard time with that. I'm a small enough stream that I read and engage with chat. There's probably better ways to optimize this and better ways to manipulate it, but I'm not really interested in manipulating my viewer base. Part of what I like about my viewer base is having this as a community that I can be me in and can express the things I care about and am interested in and excited about with. And I value that enough that I prefer not to abuse that. Could I sell out? Sure. Maybe there's some level of money that I'm given for something that I'm just lying to you all constantly. Kevin, for example, has bought his way onto stream for millions of dollars, and that's why we're here doing this. And that's, I can't promise that doesn't happen regularly, but here we are nevertheless. Are you familiar with Disco Elysium? I am.
Have you played it?
I played it briefly, and I started it, and my chat told me it was a very text-heavy, story-driven game, which is exactly not what I want to do on stream.
Okay, because I own it, and
I've heard it's very good.
I've seen really good recommendations.
Yep, but I have not played through it. Nope. There's actually one thing I have seen a befriended family teaching their children, probably, when playing games, don't take the game personally. Yes. Is that the legendary dwarf paladin Thaddeus sitting next to me? It is, Blade Tycon. That is a longer-term viewer right there. This is the legendary dwarf paladin Thaddeus indeed.
I am offended by your question and refuse to engage with your imbecile nature.
Exactly. Perfect. Difference between getting upset because of losing and taking a loss personally, for sure. Okay. Let's see. Attributing a complex event to a single cause is terrible. Agreed. What's my favorite book? My current answer to favorite book is Blind Sight by Peter Watts.
I finally read that.
Yeah? Did you like it?
That's the one with the alien transmitting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Complicated book. Very fun, I thought.
The second one was awful. I couldn't even.
I did not like the second or third.
Couldn't do it.
Yep. I thought they got worse, but I loved the first one. Yep. Woke is a diversion. No culture war, just class war. I think there's some of that. I think there's too much down that route too. I'm not willing to commit to that one side on that, but I also agree. Some of the distinctions seem kind of, we're fighting over a very small segment of the pie when there's a lot more pie out there that should be coming our way and isn't. So who knows? Filthy not manipulating us. What am I even here for? I'm not saying I don't manipulate you. I'm just saying that I like an honest relationship. I like an honest relationship on all of my friends, my wife. It's just easier. It's too much work for me to keep a bunch of lies and bullshit floating as much as to large degree, right? I would prefer just the simplicity of reality. When we resubscribe and write a message that your computer reads out loud, do you hear it also? I do. Secret of manipulation is not knowing you're manipulated. True. That hug never happened. Look. Filthy in story games. True. What happened to his leg? Whose leg? Kevin? Thaddeus's? Mine? I don't know what you're asking.
Well,
feel free to re-ask.
Is he asking about this? Can you see my leg in stream?
I can pull up what they can see. They can see that. Yeah.
Maybe?
What happened to your leg? Is that the chainsaw leg?
That's the chainsaw leg.
Kevin decided that amputation was expensive and he wanted to do it himself, and at one point attacked his knee with a chainsaw for some reason.
Minor. Yeah. Lots of stitches, minor injury.
What other life advice do you have?
in addition to chainsaw use?
That's right.
I'm an expert on many things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked into any of the Dominions games? I have not played Dominion 6. I'm kind of interested. Might be up my alley, but not streamable. Oh, I don't know enough about those games, Ben. It has to be streamable for me to stream it, clearly. But it might be a game I'm interested in for sure. Are new generations easily offended compared to, let's say, baby boomers? Is there an end to that trend being offended? Who knows, man? I'm my generation. I have my knowledge of the world. People are changing. Mostly they're changing in good ways. Sometimes they change in ways I don't understand or don't agree with. And sometimes they change in what I would consider bad ways. Do I think they are more easily offended? My wife works with students regularly. I feel like this generation certainly is more willing to claim something as a traumatic or hostile event than previous generations about that. I feel like it's probably not generational. I feel like it's more the product of the times we're in right now of what is given validity and what isn't. I don't know. It seems almost irrelevant, right? Because I can speculate to this, but I've got my approach to this, and it doesn't really matter what I think about it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I find that I lose value with people who I can't talk to. And part of talking to people and having interesting conversations and getting to the heart of matter is the willingness to move into areas that are sometimes difficult or sometimes hard to talk about. And if you aren't willing to do that, I feel like I lose value in that communication. So whatever system they're working around with that, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't work well for me. If I given Brandon Sanderson a try, I cannot stand Brandon Sanderson's books. I don't know why. Everyone tells me he's a great author. I've read 2 possibly and couldn't get through him. Oh my God, is this the guy I used to play D&D with? No, I found him on the street and he needed a glass of water and a good meal and I brought him in and he hasn't left yet. So we'll have to talk about that after you understand. Okay.
This is short-term arrangement.
Short-term arrangement. You tried Teamfight Tactics? I have. I like it. I actually like Mechabellum quite a bit more than Teamfight Tactics. And if you're just getting into Teamfight Tactics right now, I hope you enjoy the hell out of it. My eventual problem I found with that game was it was not about reacting to the situation, which Mechabellum very much is right now. It was about optimizing a very small number of strategies and your openness to them. So each patch, some things are best. There's basically a tier list of which things are best, and you are doing your best to set up your board in a way that you can most easily get to those best things. That's a lot less interesting to me from a gaming design than me and my opponent constantly reacting to each other round after round and then trying to win from there. That's a much more interesting position for me. Small love affair with the chainsaw, indeed. How much do you consider faith to be a part of my life? Faith related to religion? 0. I am not a faith-based person at all. Dominion could be fun to watch for a while, possibly. I feel like people are more willing to accept something as traumatic or hostile compared to back in the day. Yeah, but I think every generation has its disagreements with the previous generation. So am I in the right in that? I have no idea. Sanderson isn't a great author, but he's a good world builder. I don't know what my problem is with this stuff. I haven't really identified it, but I do not like his stuff in general. Read the first Law series. I have loved. That's Joe Abercrombie, right? I really like him. I read the new patch for Mechabellum. I haven't yet. You love that D&D campaign. It's so fun to follow along with. Hope you're doing well. I would love to create another one of those sometime. I don't know when the right concordance of events and people will arrive. Maybe it's the new Pathfinder, which is a new system that I want to play that isn't through WotC. It's the updated version of the previous Pathfinder, which is one of the most complex character building and mechanically interesting D&D systems ever. If I could find a game for that, I would love to. But
I would still love to play a GURPS game that I wasn't the GM for.
Oh, I know. You'd like to find a good DM? Me too. Like a DM who loves and passionate about it and wants to create a world for us? Me too. If you find one, we abduct him and demand a campaign or we don't release them.
There's space in the basement for,
That's right.
For the cage.
That is the only upset. That's right. We'll just occasionally I'll spin the camera around and be like, help him, chat. Help him help himself. Build that fucking world, asshole. And spin it around again. No. I could say this generation is more sensitive. It's also a good thing that people feel entitled to speak out when they're hurt. Past generations are very dominant push towards dissociation. Yeah.
You know, I can tell. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I can tell this is your chat because there are a whole bunch of like chainsaw injury jokes going on in the background there, just like you. Like every time I see you, there's a chainsaw joke, and
Kevin, it's a ridiculous thing to say that you almost chopped off your leg with the chainsaw. That's a ridiculous thing to have to tell
No,
somebody.
that's ridiculous to have happened, not
Yes.
to say. Okay.
Yeah. The fact that you were in a situation where one of the outcomes was I almost chopped my leg off with a chainsaw is fairly hilarious. It's more hilarious because your leg's still attached. It would still be hilarious if it wasn't attached. It would be harder to laugh at it without offending.
Right.
Because think of the ways you could go in life. And if one of the ways, I mean, you could lose your leg to all sorts of horrible accidents.
Sure,
all sorts
absolutely.
of shit, freaks of chance could take your leg.
Yep.
Chopping your own leg off with a chainsaw, mwah, that's so fucking perfect. Like, come on. Come on. Ugh. Have I ever gotten into chess? I got into chess in high school, and I haven't looked back. I don't like the memorization element of the pattern recognition and memorization that is basically chess openers. I think it is a very deep, complex game with incredibly deep, basically visualization of moving forward, but I prefer other types of gaming. You're referring to the leg. The legendary paladin Thaddeus lost at the end of the adventure. I don't remember Thaddeus losing a leg. Did that happen? It must have. I just don't remember it.
That's funny. The end of the campaign was such a shit show.
Yeah.
Like he also ended up traumatized by a door, and ended up with a.
It almost devolved into memes at the end.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. It was a mess toward the end there. So
Yeah.
I don't remember losing the leg.
A lot of things happen at the end. No. Have I played Gloomhaven? If so, what do I think about it? Yeah, I played the board game and the PC game. I played the PC game a couple weeks or maybe even months on stream. I played the board game less than I played the PC game, but I got it after the PC game because I was interested. I think it's a very good game. I'm really looking forward to their sequel. Top 3 favorite bands or singers, you and Kevin. Man, that is music is not something that I'm super into in terms of like finding my own stuff. I listen to a lot of electronica stuff that is produced by other people. Like I'm really big into, I like Nora and Pure right now. I listen to DJs like this who are putting together stuff, and I find that quite enjoyable. I listen to some fair number of Twitch streamers who do music for that kind of thing as well. If you really forced and twist my arm to find like bands and singers, I'd start giving you kind of older like rock stuff that I grew up on with my dad. Like I love Pink Floyd. I like the Grateful Dead. I like I don't know. I like randomly Rufus the Soul. I like it just there's a variety of things, but I'm not super big into it. So I don't have a good knowledge base of like, here's my top 5 songs of the last year, and here's my top 5 songs that begin with the letter C and blah blah blah. I'm just not good at that. So I need a quick break. I gotta pee. So can you handle this briefly?
Well, except I have to pee too, but yeah, I could.
Wait, we can stagger it. I'll pee first. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Back in a minute.
Wait a minute. Why'd you get to go first?
Because I initiated the whole process.
For fuck's sake. All right. Top 3 favorite bands, singers. My wife is the brilliant one about songs, about music, about all of that stuff, and so she does this random kind of exploration through all of the stuff, and she brings interesting vocals mostly is what she's after. So folks that have a yodel to the song, folks that have lots of the a cappella stuff ends up on our playlist. Viking chants end up on our playlist. Who and HU, that kind, ends up on our playlist. Anything kind of with a Celtic feel to it can end up on our playlist. So mostly it ends up being stuff that is unusual, and it's usually cherry picked. We rarely have a group, a band, a that we're faithful to in any way. We typically will cherry pick a song here and there and kind of add that to a playlist. So yeah, I can't think of anything that like is a favorite. Now, rolling back, 9 Inch Nails and Rush and some of that stuff would be pre-marriage some of my favorites. Geez, and these are all filthy questions. I need something that's me. Chopping my leg off. I don't know, there's nothing good here. Have you ever played No, I never played Wiz War. I wish I knew more about it. I had I have played it. A friend of mine brought it over. I have a single playthrough, and I don't remember anything about it. What do I most value in Filthy as a friend?
Yeah, let's hear this. And just be aware.
I think this was the worst possible time for you to come back.
Perfect.
What do I most value in you as a friend? That's interesting. I think that you are authentically you, and that you don't do much sugarcoating, you don't do much
Mike's there.
what, I need to say nicer things about you up into the mic?
Not at all. It just you leaned back when I came back.
Oh, sorry.
You got
Yeah,
farther
yeah.
away from the mic.
Okay. Yeah, I think that you are unabashedly you, and that when we have discussions, you're happy to say, "I don't buy that," and when we're parting, you aren't slow to say, "I value you and I'll miss you," and so the authenticness without any sincere.
Sincere authenticness.
Sincere authenticity.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
I value that in you as a friend.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah.
The bathroom is free if you wish to.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I'll shit talk you while you're gone.
They need to ask what you most value in me while I'm here.
I can't answer
what
questions
do you
like
most
that.
value in me?
Kevin, I can't answer that. That wasn't asked. It's an ask me anything, not just deliver tirades on whatever I wish to deliver tirades on. God, next they'll think it's my channel. All right, what do we have here? Never cross streams, no peeing together, pandemonium ensues. All right. His bank account. All right. How are we doing, chat? We getting close to the end of this? We're on 3 hours. 2 hours right now? 2 hours right now. I got more in me, but probably not too much more in me. If we got more questions, happy to do it. If not, this has been fun. We could call it pretty soon here. If I could be any root vegetable, what would I be? A root vegetable? No idea. Never had to think about that. I need more time. Would I recommend starting a new hobby? How would you recommend starting a new hobby? All of these things are actually much easier than you think. The biggest thing preventing you from doing any of these things is you doing it. Again, this goes with the mentality of nothing will happen to you that you don't do. That you don't seek out yourself, that you won't make happen. How did I start jiu-jitsu? I looked up a jiu-jitsu gym around me, reached out to a friend on Discord who I've never met in real life, who was in a guild that I played with in Crowfall, who had talked about jiu-jitsu a little bit, asked him, does this look legit? He had a look at the website, said, yep, I recognize this guy. This sounds real. This sounds like a good, legit place to start. And then I went to the gym and tried it, and then I've been there. That's how you do that. And it's as easy and as stupid as that sounds. And I know that's not good advice in the sense of like, there's nothing transformative about that advice, but it's true, right? Which is you do these things by doing them. Yeah. Seems like being a user player, taking systems at face value and providing feedback is really rewarding. Are you interested in contributing, modding, building games, or you do and it's just not part of the stream? I'm interested in consulting on stream, on games. I'm a user of games for sure. I enjoy playing games. I enjoy theorizing about games. I don't dislike building them, but I don't wish to do that as a profession. Biggest regret in life, streaming. Will you make Kevin stream? He would be solid.
Make me stream what?
I don't know.
How would you make me anything?
This is not my question. I guess with a chainsaw?
Right.
Am I disappointed about Diablo 4? What is your current opinion about Blizzard as a company? Also, what's my favorite game dev company? I am a little disappointed in Diablo 4. I found it tedious after a little bit. But I never really loved action RPGs. I was kind of hoping it would be more Path of Exile than it is. I was hoping for a deeper build system than there currently is. So I was hoping that more of my time would be spent theory crafting, testing, and refining builds than it is right now in Diablo. Diablo is very repetitive and very grindy to me. I find it relaxing in the sense that I can listen to a podcast and just sit with my controller and make moves in Diablo, go do dungeons in Diablo, and it's fine, but I don't really love it. And I certainly can't recommend it right now. What is my favorite game dev company? I don't have that. I have games I like. and companies change over time. For example, growing up in high school, super big Blizzard fanboy. Currently, not so much a big Blizzard fanboy, you know? So I'm not sure that game dev companies have life outside of a time, right? So you can say, I liked this game at this time, but isn't that just that game? I don't know. Do I have statistics on my audience? I do. Do I still rock climb? Couchthought asks. I don't rock climb here. I took up jiu-jitsu to replace rock climbing because I do not have a rock climbing gym in a reasonable travel distance to do regularly, and I want to do it multiple times a week as part of a kind of physical reality for me. And I'm currently doing jiu-jitsu instead of rock climbing, which I like a lot, but I do miss rock climbing. Are you going back to playing Old World again when something new comes out? And will you stream Diablo 4 Seasons, or is it that over on stream? I would certainly check out Old World expansions. I like Soren Johnson. I like his game Old World. And I think Old World is still probably the best 4X I've played in years and years and years, which is fantastic. I'll probably check out expansions for that as they release, especially if they're major. I felt like the last one was a pretty minor change and didn't really impact what I wish to do with 4Xs, which is multiplayer. It was still very much a single player game. Old World is fun, but I don't have endless repetitions of single player 4Xs in me anymore. I much prefer the multiplayer aspects because they just get too repetitive too quickly for me. Will I stream Diablo 4 Seasons? Maybe. I might try one. I've had zero traction in Diablo 4. For whatever reasons, streaming it has been almost impossible for me. My viewership from that is abysmal. It is a highly competitive game in the sense that there are a million streamers streaming it, many of whom are huge streamers. And I think the things that sets my stream apart in terms of the strategic depth that I like to go into, the level I like to play games at, really isn't very expressible in Diablo right now. I don't think Diablo is a very deep game at the moment. All right. You know, just pictured Filthy as a motivational speaker with a big background message. The only thing stopping you is you. Okay. Kevin could stream chainsaw art. I believe that. I'd watch. Now that Kevin is back, what I value Kevin most in this is getting very, very sappy very quickly. Kevin and Katie have been really good friends. They are flexible in what they bring in the sense of willing to roll what's happening, interesting to talk to, have had interesting lives and are willing to discuss those. One of the things I look for in general in friends are people who are comfortable in themselves. Because I am a challenging person, that this is the authenticity element of this, which is I push back on things that sound like bullshit to me. I question things that sound like questionable conclusions to me. I challenge the points that get you to a place and want to debate the merits of ideas. These things can be off-putting to people who are not comfortable in themselves. The people who I get along with most are the people who are able to hear and respond to feedback or criticism, or not even criticism, for just challenges or informational requests without taking this as a personal attack. Kevin has been fantastic about being comfortable in who he is in his life and able to talk about that and express that and deal with that. So the very first time we met, Kevin said, "Would you like to know the answer to the meaning of life?" To which I said,
the secret to a successful and happy life.
To which I said, "Yes, of course I'd like to know that." And he told me, and I said, "That's bullshit." And that was the beginning. So if that doesn't...
And we spent 4 hours with
Exactly.
me trying to convince you, and Katie was finally like, "I'm going to bed."
And
Yeah.
you make good points for valuable assets of that. Would I be willing to write that off as the meaning to life and the secret to happiness? No, fuck no.
But since then, you have evolved your appreciation for that idea so much that you like use it constantly.
I believe in large parts of that, but it was too big of a conclusion for the evidence for that. It's too far. It's overreaching that conclusion. So I value that a lot for people who are comfortable in themselves.
You'll admit I was right, and that, and that it's been 10 years of you growing to understand the truth.
That's true.
Yeah.
I believe that soon I'll absolutely parrot your views back to you. You should definitely bank on that.
I should wait on that.
Hold your breath.
Any minute.
All right. Let's see. Modern gaming devolves into tedium, Mr. Crush, so they don't have to worry about developing late game content. I do not. All my experience with game devs is about Maybe there are people locked in these games that are doing it because this is their job and they have no other options. And maybe and certainly I have not interacted with dev teams that are pushing these gacha games that are designed to milk you for money. But all the game devs who I've worked with for any of my professional stuff, be it development, be it consulting, or be it just reviews, or be it interviews, all the games devs that I've worked with have been passionate about the product they're creating. So they're trying to make a good game, and the motivation is they want to make a good, interesting game. So do I think that gaming devolves into TDM and it's a crutch? I doubt it. I really doubt it. These are passionate people who are intelligent, who are working hard at these products, and sometimes they miss and sometimes they hit. But to categorically write them off as this being a crutch to having to do real work, it sounds like bullshit to me. Do I know any other language other than English? I don't. If I could choose one, which would I choose? I'm a practical guy. I would probably just choose a language that had a lot of traction. Probably Spanish if I had to guess. What's my favorite brand of butter? I have no idea. iOS 2 flat, true. What bottom I am? BJJ, white. Do I play Heroes of Might and Magic series? I have played it. I don't love it as it is right now. I think the scene of that kind of game is very saturated with big streamers, so it's hard to get there. I agree. Have I tried other Larian Studio games? I have. I did not like DOS 2 very much, and I did not like DOS 1 all that much. I like the depth of character building in those games. I think that's fun. I don't like their combat system too much. I think BG3 is going to be a big improvement because it is based in the D&D system, which I think is a better system than their previous games. So we'll see. They are flexible, and a scowl on Kevin's face should be a stream fade out. Clip it for me. I'll consider ending a couple streams with it. Why don't more streamers do Ask Me Anything streams?
They're chicken.
Let's go with that. Kevin, what's the secret to a happy and successful life?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
In one word, like you gave me.
Self-discipline.
There we go. All right. There's your answer. You should introduce Kevin to the guy that claimed he was the best Civ player in the world and had an equation for happiness on his Twitch page. I think that is unfair to Kevin. Kevin was willing to have his idea challenged, was willing to present evidence for it. We had a really interesting conversation of it. I don't actually disagree with Kevin in the sense of I think that's a key component. I just don't agree with the extent of the conclusion. Is Kevin just filthy traveling back in time? If we seem similar, there are definitely similarities between any friends. There's going to be similarities. Are we the same person? I really don't think so. Do you think we're the same person?
Oh, I'd have to saw off my leg with a chainsaw.
You already tried.
Oh shit.
Yeah. All right. Am I familiar with Nick Bostrom? Doesn't ring a bell. I've never heard that name. Is the dude to my left my dad? No, but you can call us both dad. Why don't more streamers do anything? Ask Me Anything streams. I think lots of streamers do Ask Me Anything streams. They probably just don't do it regularly because it's not a thing you want to do regularly. It's not really content. It is more like a better getting to know the streamer and the viewers, right? Like you can't do these every time because a lot of these questions are going to be the same every single time. It's not very interesting every single time. It's interesting in its rarity, I think. Let's see.
I love Divinity's ground exploding all the time. I'm playing that with my college, my PhD professor. I'm playing that with him, and all we do is catch ourselves on fire. That's our full-time job in Divinity. Yep.
Kevin told me today that he's playing co-op with that game. He said that sometimes they finish a battle, and if they're not on fire, they restart till they manage to get on fire, which is my experience with that game too, which is why I didn't like that game. So... will you ever go back to Battle Brothers? If Battle Brothers releases more content, I will play Battle Brothers again. I love that game, but I am done with the content they've offered. Okay. Will you build your 4 character to start BG3? Oh, will I build 4 characters to start BG3 and make my main character? I don't know yet. I need to do a little bit more research into what that system's going to be like, Itadiki. I liked that they said that you will have ways to respec and revamp your characters without restarting the storyline. I had done that in DOS 1, which I played. I restarted a couple times as I began to understand the mechanics. I eventually burnt out on restarting and doing the same shit again and again. So I'm really excited that Baldur's Gate 3 allows you to update your characters based on the knowledge you've gathered across the course of the game of how the game is mechanically played without having to restart the narrative. I think that's a really cool feature. All right, chat. I will give you guys 5 more questions and then we're going to call it here. If you have 5 more questions, great. If not, we can end it here upright. But starting after a lives message, I'll give you 5 more questions for the AMA, and then we are done for the day. This has been super fun. Thank you all for being here. I'm actually super glad we got to have Kevin and be a part of this. I think it's added a lot to it. So
It's
cheers.
fun.
Yes, it is fun. So I'll answer this one, and then we got 5 more. What's your ideal viewer count / minimal number of people watching to keep streaming? This is like asking, if I asked you, what's your ideal wage? What would you answer? And then if I asked you, what's your ideal wage, but what would you do as a minimum to keep working? It's a bit of that. I'm doing this as a profession. So more is better, because more is better means I get to retire and do things and travel and experience parts of the world that I wouldn't get to do otherwise. What's my ideal amount? I don't know, man. I like knowing my community members, but I would like to be larger to do this comfortably. Who's the man in the background just joined? What man in the background?
That'd be me. You're judgmental. Oh, sorry, bud.
Oh, there's a guy sitting right there. Who knew? All right. Can we have this regularly? I try to do these quasi-regularly. It's just been a while since we've done one. Sure. How much will Kevin be paid after this?
I had the most amazing blueberry pancakes this morning by way of Filthy Robot Girl. So
I'll tell you what, chat. Everything you've donated thus far during this stream, I will give him 50% of that.
What?
For the AMA. It's been 0 donations. so you're rich. You can have half of my revenue for the duration of the stream. How's that? All right. Retire, what would we watch? I'm not suggesting retire. I like doing what I'm doing. But eventually, I'm going to need to figure out a way to support myself financially at the end of my life, aren't I? And there's not going to be nothing for that for streaming. So. Okay. Oh, look. Oh, wait. Did I miss a donation? I may have missed. I did. I missed a $6.90 donation. Sorry about that. I don't have this scene. I owe Kevin $3.45. This stream doesn't have my notifications on as stuff. So if I missed your sub or your donation during the stream, my apologies, chat. Is there going to be another stream with Frigg in this manner? Yeah. One day we will do another stream with Frigg. Again, I try to keep Frigg's life separate from my streaming life. She has her own professional career. She is her own woman doing her own things. She's not a prop for my stream. And I like bringing her on as a guest, but I do not wish to either obligate her to do that or to make you guys think that she's going to be a regular part of this because she has her own life. Like a streaming board game session with Kevin. Sure. I don't know how the fuck we'd ever set that up. It seems unrealistic to do as a view thing. But we have played together on stream before. We've done the D&D campaign that we did together. We did some Valheim together. And I will be playing at some point some co-op Baldur's Gate 3 with Kevin. I'm considering recording that and releasing that to YouTube so we don't have the pressure of trying to fit that in for our schedules with stream schedules, and also not having to worry about like the pacing relative to the game release. I expect I'll be grinding the shit out of Baldur's Gate 3 when it releases, but I'm planning to do a playthrough with Kevin. I may or may not record that. If I do, I will release that on YouTube. Do subs count? They do. Didn't someone gift Kevin's wife? I think she's still Kevin's wife. I don't think she's been gifted out, no.
Subs count toward my income. That's what he's asking. There were several subs
I understand.
Gifted and
I know. I was reacting mostly to this phrase, which you seem totally okay with.
Yeah, I was fine with that.
All right. Okay. Chat, we good? I think we're good. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the conversation. I'll be back Thursday. We're going to pick up our Scholastic campaign then. But I think we are done for the day. I'll answer this last question. We'll end here. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being here. When you fail to meet the expectations for yourself, how do you handle it? On the good days, I reevaluate, rebuild, and try to do it better. On the bad days, I beat myself up over it, distract myself, and otherwise try to forget about it. But hopefully we have more good days than bad days, and hopefully that goes for all of you as well. Anyways, guys, have a good night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.